call myself the getaway driver. It's not as exciting as it sounds. I go where you want to go. As for me, I go nowhere.
Vámonos.
Go!
¿A dónde vamos? Vamos a ver. Aguas, carnal. Ahí te hablan. ¿Qué? Venga, písale. ¿Y ahora qué? Avísame cuando aterricemos.
Hello, muchacha.
Muchacha. ¡Dale, rápido!
I call myself the getaway driver. It's just as exciting as it sounds. And I go where I want to go.
Play it day one with Game Pass.
Hello. Welcome to Forza Horizon 5 Unlocked, where it is my absolute honor to sit with you over the next few hours and essentially launch Forza Horizon 5. I'm going to be joined today by a number of Playground Games devs to take you through what they've been up to and their excitement as the game officially launches around the world. Interestingly, though, the game has been playable for a couple of hours in New Zealand, and approximately about 20,000 people have already jumped in so far. And I believe Australia has gone live around this same time too. So congratulations to anyone in Australia watching this and playing the game at the same time, because that's obviously what they should be doing. But joining me right to kick things off, as it should be, I am joined by Mike Brown, Fraser Strachan, and Matt Turner. We're going to start with you, Matt. You are the principal cinematics designer. So tell us exactly what that means.
I am. So principal cinematics designer. The design team in general, we look after everything that basically isn't driving the game visually. So as soon as you move away from the car and the camera's going and looking at something else, that's generally us taking control of that stuff. So, I mean, there are so many cinematics in our game. I think it's easy to think that cinematics are just character stuff or bits where you might just look at a nice car driving by, but there are so many aspects to it that kind of permeate the entire game, whether it's like the slow-mo moments you see as you take off, whether you're just panning around the car and doing stuff there, or even actually as you're driving the game, you might see a helicopter go past. There's an element of cinematics and all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, absolute ton of stuff there we look after. But notably, like the main sort of bread and butter of the cinematics team is generally like the really cool spectacle, high spectacle moments, particularly like the opening section.
Which we will be getting onto, so I'm very excited for that. We're going to move down to you now, Fraser, as well. I know you've been on the show before. If there's anyone who hasn't watched, you are the lead audio designer. What does that mean? It's probably self-explanatory, but what exactly have you been up to?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a little bit self-explanatory in that I lead the audio team and kind of make sure that everything that you hear in the game sounds good. We work on lots of different parts of the game, such as the music and the soundtrack, voiceover. So we've got a lot of Mexican talent in the game that we've been working with. All the car audio, all the different sounds that all the cars make as you sort of drive across the country. We also worked really closely with the cinematics team. I think it's an absolute pleasure to kind of be able to do sound design for such epic cinematics that Matt and his team put together. So we have a really wide and varied department. It's not me that's doing all of it. I take a lot of the credit a lot of the time, but I think there's 3 or 4 of us, and yeah, we all kind of take different parts of it, and hopefully the game sounds good as a result of it.
I'm certain it will, and I'm certain at some point throughout the stream you'll do an impression of a car like you've done for us in the past, which is a highlight, by the way, if no one's heard that yet.
Yeah, only if we hit a certain number of players.
Right, well, there you go. That's something to unlock. And Mike, we've sat together essentially every 2 weeks since June to talk about Forza Horizon 5. You are the creative director, so this is a pretty big day for you, as well as the whole team. But how are you feeling right now?
I'm still just feeling really excited. As we said, New Zealand have got the game. Australia got it 7 minutes ago.
Yep.
I'm just really excited for all of our players to get their hands on the game and experience it for themselves after we've spent 5 months showing it to them through the internet. They'll actually be able to play it for themselves.
It's
now.
theirs now.
Yeah.
I mean, that must be the craziest feeling. It's all of your babies and has been, and you've teased little bits here and there over the past few months, but now it's out there.
It's out there, yeah. It's a game that belongs to the community now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, talking of which, shall we begin? I think we're going to start with what everyone's going to start with, which is the initial drive, and we're just going to play through and see what happens. So
let's do it. So
let's
this is a
take it away.
completely fresh profile.
I haven't seen this yet, by the way, so I'm prepared to be very theatrical and shocked and wowed and awed throughout. I cannot wait.
I'm going to put subtitles on for the people at home, so
Lovely.
we're talking over things, they can still hear.
That's a go-to for me as well. I don't know if it's the same for you with any game you play, or like the subtitles have to go on immediately.
It does help for everyone. Like, boiling a cup of tea, you need to be able to see what the people are saying as well as hear it.
What name should we pick?
I normally go for Nightman. That's I'm Nightman every single time, but I don't know if you guys have any preferences.
I'm tempted to go with Brick.
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 That'll do.
I do like Brick.
It's quite harsh and
Quite
to the
harsh,
point.
isn't it? Quite firm. Let's not spend too long on the screen and go with...
Bought. No, I think it doesn't need to be bought now, actually.
So we're committing to this, are we?
Yeah, we're going to be bought for the next few hours. So what is
archaic reference?
what is this initial drive then? I know we looked at it a few weeks back in another one of those the shows that we've done, but what is the initial drive's purpose?
The initial drive is people's first interest in the game. It's where we lay out what the game's about and what you can expect to experience over your next 20 to 30, 40, 50, 100 hours with the game. Before the initial drive, though, is this, which is the opening cinematics of the game, which is the first time we've shown this.
Okay.
Matt, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so this is one of the cinematics that generally come in quite late in the production sort of cycle, and really it gives us a chance to really get the visuals really nailed in the game world, because a lot of what we're doing in the opening cinematic is setting up the rest of the game, not just sort of tonally, and I think it's done a brilliant job. Our voice actor Abe has been incredible on actually sort of selling that kind of welcoming to Mexico kind of vibe that we're trying to do. But in terms of like the visuals, we really want to try and sort of show maximum variety, like just show the players just how much they're about to be kind of entering into in terms of just world and general spectacle. But there's also a little bit of kind of contextual kind of story elements here. As you'll see here, there's a plane en route to a massive volcano, and lots of other cars will making their way. But you know, it's trying to kind of all culminate into kind of like what's going on here is in the fact that, you know, we've got sort of 4 big hero cars here that are sort of finally about to kind of end up in the back of this plane. So at least I think for those who have kind of seen the early kind of streams and have seen this car getting yeeted out over a volcano, actually at least understand a little bit of what's going on now.
I do have to ask, did any research go into the idea of throwing a car out of a plane? Or were you just like, you know what, it's a video game?
I think that's, I just still remember, Mike, you kind of came to us and went, I think we want to throw a car out of a plane. I'm like, great. How do we do
What
that?
a day.
Just another day.
Yeah, but this particular cinematic was like a real pleasure to work on. But it was a really important one for us to get right in terms of this is like a one-shot cinematic. So you see right from the cargo bay right into the landing in the volcano, and really that was to prove that this is all in game. There's no smoke and mirrors here. This is this game actually does look this good.
I think I remember this was one of the first ones that you did, because I think when the initial concept of chucking a car out of a plane is going to land on top of a volcano sounds cool,
Yeah.
you're all like, how are we going to do that?
Yeah,
How
we
on
did
earth?
Yeah, so I did an initial concept, because not only is it like, we're going out of a plane, we have to figure out the sort of logistics of that, but we're also on the highest point of the map. Not only that, we're higher than the highest point of the map, so there was a little bit of sweating going on, I think. So we did an initial concept, and really that was the one that found its way into the final game.
Wow,
So.
look at that.
Yeah, there was no other game before this where you could see that far and at this height as well. So it was quite an incredible achievement by lots of different teams actually to get that draw distance.
And those are all elements of the map that you can drive to as well, right? Which is the other amazing thing. Like, we're not just showing you beyond the boundaries. You can drive over to that coastline there and toot along later if you want.
Absolutely.
I just am fascinated. This is the problem with these streams, is I always forget that I have to talk and not to go,
Yeah.
wow, look at it.
So we're about to go into one of the first pieces of bespoke music that we had written for the game. This is a track called Live More by Plague Vendor, and we worked really closely with them to create what I think is just an absolutely incredible track. It's
So good.
It hits so hard from the very beginning of the track, and it's starting with that kind of like it really kind of amps up the drive here.
Yeah, I mean that's great, because I'd never heard any of these tracks whilst we made the initial drive before they came in, and the fact that they kind of just lined up perfectly with those moments.
Yeah, it's probably the first time that we've done the music as late as we did. Previously we've maybe had a track in mind, or we've worked on it alongside it, and it's kind of come in quite early on. There's definitely a moment where we dropped in the music tracks for each of the sections, and it just elevated the whole drive.
Yeah, so in the past where we kind of picked a track and then kind of built our experience around that track.
Yeah.
This time it was, we kind of had this already, and then we went to speak to the artist, and it's like we gave them a video of it and said, can you give us a track?
I was going to
that
say,
sounds
did you
like
give
this?
them any sort of supporting materials for it?
And it's fairly hard as well when you're asking to play like a rock track, but you've got a dust storm, you've got a loud cargo plane, you've got 3 or 4 cars as well, to make sure that you can hear everything as well.
What's I have to ask, the audio, now that we're inside the dust storm, what was that like to produce?
It's interesting. I mean, we used a lot of different reference. I think, Mike, you asked me, what does a dust storm actually sound like when we started doing this? And we really wanted to create this sense of sort of isolation a little bit when you go into it. So you get this a little bit of fear, like I don't know where I'm going to drive. There's an amazing piece on Interstellar about how they chucked loads of sand at vehicles and drove them through different fields. We used that a lot as reference. So it's kind of got the sound of sort of grit and dirt hitting the windscreen and the bonnets and stuff. I think it sounds pretty cool, and we kind of duck the music a little touch when you go in there as well, just to give the mix a bit of dynamics.
And
Yeah,
here we
it's
are.
one of those where before researching it, I didn't know if it had like it would behave like snow, where it has kind of a muting effect of like just like it's always eerily quiet, isn't it, when there's a lot of snow, but it's
Well, the problem was that you released this at the exact same time as Dune, so you can even use that as a reference after the fact to see how they did it, right?
I mean, it'd be such a compliment if they said that they took reference from Horizon 5.
You two just sharing materials. And then again, completely different environment here. We were more of a is this the swamp, the marsh area?
This is the
jungle?
swamp area into the jungle.
That's it.
I think this is my favourite section because it just feels so different to what you were just driving in. kind of like just raining a little bit. You can see like some of the effects on the screen
It
as
is
well.
really tempting as well to just like stop and just like look at just how detailed.
You're not on the clock here, so go for
all
it.
of this is. Like, look at the detail in the cobbles there. It's and then it just becomes a blur.
You do always think you're going to break the experience by stopping in these events, but you can just take as long as you want to drive this if you want. Does mean that
You've missed that.
Ramiro's probably going to beat you to the location in the plane,
that's
but
fine.
No, it's not. He's waiting.
there he is.
Just been circling for a few hours.
I know how he works.
The magic of video games.
So this is tracked by Luxury. Is it called Feel So Good?
Yep, this is
Yep.
Feel So Good. This one, it's got such a bass-heavy riff to it, which is kind of hard not to bite your lip to, but you really tried to elevate the track so it felt quite euphoric as well.
You mentioned the planes coming over the top, those being cinematic elements.
They are. So we have an animation team who actually animate those planes,
Okay.
but the cinematics take control of that. And then obviously we're into the proper cinematic here, where the animation team again help us with all those flamingos, and I spent hours just placing those by hand.
Did you have to study actual how flamingos fly to get something like that as well?
I'm sure I saw a few screens.
Yeah. It's,
Watching nature documentaries and calling it work.
we've done a bizarre amount of flamingo research, to be honest. Because they appear on top of the volcano in the lake up there, and then someone obviously you would never get flamingos to the volcano. Cue loads of research. You
No.
do.
Oh, well,
they do live on top of volcanoes.
And here we go, another completely different environment as well.
And this one is soundtracked by Metric, who you'll hear on Hostel Records. We've got another track by him as well, Utopia, I think it's called. This one is Route 174, and we provided loads of videos of this last section to Metric, all throughout, just I think every week, just creating a video of sending it over. So the music is completely tailored to not just the feel of it, but the actual pacing of the drive. So as you bend round, come through these resorts, we're adding layers and sort of upping the ante in each of the sections of music. And of course we've got Scott Tyler back in the game. I think it always helps to give a bit of pace to the drive, having him shoutcast along with you.
Did you hear that? Well, that is the last Impossible cargo flight, racing neck and neck with
Mike driving here, by the way, in case anyone hasn't picked up on that. How many times have you done this by now?
This initial drive, I will have driven 300-400 times.
It
probably.
does become quite muscle memory, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So strap yourself
To the point where it's interesting, because throughout development you perhaps get to the point where you stop seeing certain issues or bugs because you drive it the same way every time, and then you see someone else drive it and you go, oh okay, I haven't seen that before.
There's a bit you could get trapped into the bridge, wasn't there? In this, it's a completely straight road, but if you turn, you get trapped.
This is coming up to the character selects now. Also some elements of cinematics in this. So it's
So we drove into the festival, and now we're backstage, which gives an opportunity to change which human we are. So
which human are we going to be today? What do we
do you
think?
want to pick Charlie?
I don't mind. Let's have a look. I like Lassie on the bottom row over to the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like her. And then hair. We go. Is that like an updo hairstyle that's quite nice?
For this.
Oh, yeah, I like that one.
Oh, this one's quite cool as well. Change colour a
Oh,
sec.
I like that one. Yeah, that one, but with a nice color, I think. Was it a violet or a lilac or something you said on another stream that you liked?
It was this one, wasn't it?
Yeah, go on. That looks great. I think for the sake of the stream, we should absolutely show off how incredible the prosthetics look as well.
All right.
Do you have a particular favourite? Because I know there were the ones that are designed after the murals as well.
Exactly,
Is there one that
this
stands
is,
out?
a Farid Raider one with the lion on it.
Uh-huh.
We will go with she and...
Wait, it is on.
And for anyone who hasn't seen any of our previous streams, you have a voice in this game.
You do?
Yes, so this actually, you know, if you're any other game, you might not think too much about it, but it's really important because you actually get your own voice and your own point of view in this game, don't you?
Yeah, we spoke about this quite a lot after we finished Horizon 4 about how a lot of the time you get characters phoning you up and saying, hey, do you want to come and do this thing? And it felt a little bit unnatural not to be able to respond and say, yeah, sure, sounds great. Like, just to give you a sense that you're connected to this character that you've made. And I think, although we kind of just spread it a little bit thinly throughout the world just to make sure that you connect to the character, I think it really makes a big difference to make you feel like your choices are meaningful.
Yeah, I think first time you see this cinematic coming up, this was the first time we're actually going to give our character a voice. So I think it's important to kind of to have them like in this cinematic.
And these cinematics are really interesting because depending on what you choose your character to look like, what body you choose, what voice you choose, we have to essentially sort of cater for 3 or 4 different potential options within this, like the timing of the voiceover, the mannerisms, like the actual timing that it takes for characters to walk from one place to another is completely different.
I mean, the fact that you have to choose between a male or female, we have 2 sets of mocap for each one, so we have to make sure that our actors are on time and in sync and reacting the same time to each other. So yeah, I imagine it's quite a headache for the animators and for you guys to kind of try and keep it all.
But that's not your job, so it's fine.
No,
right?
I'm just there to make it look pretty.
These are especially interesting as well because obviously we've got Abraham doing the voice of Ramiro, but he's over in Mexico. So a lot of this is kind of pieced together afterwards, and it's quite a challenge to make sure it all flows naturally. And I think they did a great job.
Did he have access to a studio where he is to film it, or did he have a home studio or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think Abraham's got a fantastic home studio as well as we did use a professional studio as well so that we could film facial capture stuff as well.
Ooh, okay, that's interesting. Oh, and here's the choice. Which car? Do you have a favourite, Mike, that you want to show off?
Throughout the development of this game, I think I've really grown to love the Bronco.
I think that's the one that I would go for, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
It's the big mean one. I just like the idea of it just ripping up.
It's kind of hard not to choose this as well because it's so big compared to the other ones. It's kind of just asking to be picked right in the middle as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just obviously we've known about the Bronco for a little while when it was when we were talking about having it as one of the cover cars, and instantly when we first saw it, it was like looked super cool, and it's just come on to become this like absolute like hottest SUV of the year. It's been such like so great that we've got it on the cover and got it in the car select so people can drive it right from the start of the game.
Wonderful. Well, there's the car selected. As I said, we've got loads and loads of guests that we're going to go through today. So before we do say goodbye to you both, is there anything you want to talk about or maybe thank? Obviously, this has been a huge journey for you both of you to get here, and the game's actually now playable in some regions. So is there any passing comments you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, totally. I mean, our job as a cinematics team is to really kind of just bring out the best in the game, and I think when the game looks as good as it does, it just makes our job so much easier.
Sure.
So there's two other guys on our cinematics team. There's Stuart Green and there's Whedon's Innocent. They've both really stepped up for this project. So yeah, big thanks to those for helping on this and getting it looking as good as it does.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and really just a massive thank you from me to the rest of my team in front of everybody else watching. We've got Rory Chapman, Richard Blackley, and Mattia Zucchelli. They just smashed it out of the park on this, and I'm so proud to lead them as a team member.
Wonderful. Well, me and Mike are going to crack on and we're going to choose what we're going to do next.
Right.
But thank you so much for joining us to launch the stream. We're going to have a couple new guests in just a moment. I'll introduce them when they come in, but we will distract from the change by playing the game. So what are we going to do now then, Mike?
Well, next up, we're going to do this showcase event.
Okay.
So while we're getting on our next guests, let's go have a look. So we're now exiting the festival, heading south. And We have a short drive into the town of Amulahay.
Okay. And this is, again, this is part of, is it considered part of the initial drive? Because it's part of the process. It's not fully unlocked yet, right,
So
the game?
we call this the initial experience.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah, so the initial drive that leads into the initial experience, which then includes the first hour of the game.
And where is it where you said we're driving to?
So, yeah, heading straight south from the festival, which takes us to this lovely little, like, traditional Mexican town of Amulahay, which is a real place in Mexico. Oh, gosh, someone's parked in the road there. Dodge him.
What was that like to try and capture a literal location into the game? Because I'm assuming you guys weren't able to go down there and scope it out yourselves, right?
We had research teams check it out. It's a really challenging process because people live here and they know what it looks like, and they'll be excited that their town's in the game, and we need to do it justice. We need to make it look as charming and beautiful as it is in real life. Yeah, we just take a stop. I just love all the little details, like you can see inside the houses there. This guy's just cheering us on as we go past.
He's just having a great morning, isn't he?
just cheering the day.
Well, talking of cheering, we have our next guest with us now. So over on the far side, we do have Nathan Buchanan, who is the associate producer, and sat right next to him is Aaron McCarry, senior level designer. So Aaron, we'll go to you. What exactly is a senior level designer?
It's somebody that's been level designing for quite a while.
Yeah, yeah, that's the senior bit, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of levels were you tasked with producing in Forza Horizon 5? I should be able to say that fine by now, surely.
Been saying it for a week, haven't you?
I know, right?
Yeah, so a large part of, like a very part of the map, we've got the biggest map in a Horizon game ever, and the most vertical one that we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just large swathes of that. The city, which I'm sure we'll see. Actually, we'll pass through in the showcase that we're going to show everybody. But of Guanajuato, which is beautiful. So I was responsible for that from a design point of view. And the showcases, we've got a big hand in those, though. They get touched by every team in the whole studio.
Can't wait to see them. Nathan, you're involved with those as well, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. So one of the areas that I helped produce was the showcases, and as Aaron says, it's multidiscipline. You know, everyone gets involved. You know, there are real showcase events, so to speak. But yeah, so obviously as a producer, it takes a lot of effort to keep the information flowing, keep everyone on the same page, and just really, you know, keep that team going and get us from what is effectively a few concepts to the final result that we see now. So yeah, I think the final result here is just amazing.
So talk us through this one specifically then. What was the process on making this? Is there any elements you want to call out that you loved making sure, or at least you want people to know that you did, like, that's my stamp?
Well, like, I can't take the credit for this. So this one was designed by Forza Horizon stream regular Andy Barnowski.
Who will be on in a little while.
He'll be on later, yeah.
So shout out to Andy for that. But as a team, we all chip in as well. And showcases are very much, as Nate said, like a showcase of everything that is great and epic about Horizon games. And with that, you've got this wonderful start where you started and you're racing this cargo plane off the runway to begin with, and now it's S-ing over the top of you as we climb up towards the city of Guanajuato.
Yeah, I think what I love about this one as well is it's a lot different to any showcases we've done before. Okay. So this whole idea of, you know, starting with the aeroplane and then, as you can see here, going down, now we're sort of chasing a couple of motorbikes through Guanajuato. And I won't spoil it until we get there for people that haven't seen it, but then, you know, there may be another little twist towards the end. So I think with all of the showcases we've done, again, don't want to spoil anything, but they've all got something a little bit new and unique this time round that we haven't really seen before. And
imagine that was a really fun part of making it, right? Was you're presented with a showcase or a level and you go, right, what's missing from this that we can really add that extra spice to?
Yeah, that's it. I think the design team did a really good job of obviously coming up with the initial ideas. You know, we start off with a lot of ideas and get down to our real favourite ones, the ones we really want to do, and then it's up to the, like, Aaron and the rest of the level design team to sort of make that playable, make it come to life, and then from that point on, everyone just puts all their magic on it, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's really exciting to see the showcase come together.
Yeah, it's really hard to overstate the amount of effort that goes into these from the sheer number of people that have to contribute. Like from start actually making it, how long is the end-to-end, Aaron?
I have no idea.
Basically the whole project, isn't it?
Yeah, it's large chunks of the past 3 years
Wow.
of my life have been showcases. So.
How long would you say it takes to sort of top and tail and start just one of them? Is that even, can you even manage that amount of time or figure that out?
I feel like this is a question for
Well,
the producer.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously
Very
something
good.
we look down. We look at the start of the project, and we make realistic costs of how much we think, how long it's going to take for each team. And part of my job is to obviously make sure we stick to those times. We hit deadlines and that. In terms of the sort of from start to finish, I think the more complex it is, the longer it takes.
Yeah.
This time round, I think we put a lot more effort into getting all these new pieces into it. So probably longer than previously, but it's like you said, you kind of jump on and off different things. You're not just responsible for the showcases; you do road work as well.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to manage and produce, and that it keeps me busy. But the whole team does a great job of responding to that. So. Yeah.
Well, with that behind us, I think we should have a look around, just drive around and look at some scenery, perhaps, before we go into our next elements. Is there anywhere in particular on the map that you want us to go look at? Or
We were
maybe
thinking maybe
drive towards?
Living Desert, where we've got our kind of beautiful area, as we call it.
Yeah.
And that's a very interesting one to
And-
look at and discuss.
And that's a bit of like inside baseball in a sense that it's an area that we do for a vertical slice.
Okay.
When we're thinking about how are we going to be able to do all the things that we want to do from a visual and a technological sense, and we work really hard.
Is it this
Um,
road?
Yes, it is.
I can't set my route.
We'll just pretend that we've got the turning wrong.
And big shout out to the art team because they put lots of time and effort into that to basically give an example sort of slice of what the visual benchmark of the game
Okay.
will be, and then after that is done, then we suddenly have to do that everywhere across the whole map.
Sure.
So, but it's got some interesting features that we can talk about when we get there
I
as
don't know.
well.
I mean, my favourite feature is just wherever you go, that volcano is just looming.
Yeah.
It's stunning. When was the idea for a volcano just there from the beginning to always have one, or did it just naturally formulate that we should just whack one in?
So we knew it was a feature of real life Mexico. It actually has loads of volcanoes.
Oh, I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, it has many. And it, as we started to ideate around it and to kind of plan how it could fit into the map, it almost like became a character in and of itself, and it just became this
Yeah, I see
massive
that.
world feature. You can see it from all over the map, and obviously from up there you can see the whole map. So and as we saw driving down it from the start of the initial experience to several other moments that you have on and around the volcano, it is just a real recurring character in the piece.
Yeah. I think what always surprises me is when you play in the game, you kind of think it's off to one side, but then obviously you can look at the map, but if you're driving around you realise actually no, it's got roads all around it that you can drive around. It's not just one side of the map that's huge that you can drive up and then you get to the end. You can go off every side of it down to like a different biome, and the environment team have done a really good job of making that integrate into the different biomes. So you can be up there, you can see the sort of sand desert and be like, right, I'm going to head down that way, or the other way you can see the canyon and it's like, right, I'm going to go off and do some switchbacks and that around the canyon.
Right, where are we heading, chaps? Because I don't know if we want to go into the dust storm.
I think the dust storm's made
The dust storm's turning up exactly where we want it to not be.
But anyway, we're in a dust storm. How cool is this?
I love the way it just changes the entire atmosphere of the game. There's like a sort of, and it might be very different, I might eat my words when I have hands on and play it myself, but there's a sort of like intimidating, quite, I want to say scary factor to it, but that isn't exactly what I mean. It just feels like you're very isolated in there, and it's so omnipresent and all around you that you can't really see the peak out, and I just find it fascinating.
it's totally engulfing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's such a big contrast as well, because the rest of the game we have got obviously a really good draw distance. You can see the whole map. This is like one of the rare moments in the game where you can't.
Yeah.
You know, and you just got a reduction in time of how you can think the corners coming up and stuff in it. Yeah, it just creates a whole new challenge.
All the particles as well flying across the screen.
My favourite thing about the dust storm is that it can happen more or less at random during a game of Eliminator. And you can just be minding your own business playing Eliminator and a dust storm blows in.
I don't know if that's going to be good luck or bad luck. I suppose it depends what part of the Eliminator you're in at that time.
Absolutely, yeah. It's much harder to see those loot drops when you can't see.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
So I think we came here to show how incredibly detailed and beautiful all of this is. Kind of a little hard to see the detail when it's in the middle of a dust storm, but I'm sure you can make out just how stunningly detailed all these rock surfaces are. The level of detail in the road surface as well is.
I think this was one of the key factors as well with our beautiful area. We wanted an area to sort of, test with the wet season, the dry season, and it's really showed us that we can create a map that, with even subtle changes to like water depth, because this area has what would you call it, like a water splash that as you come down in the wet season, you splash through it. It's like a dry riverbed that runs across it,
Mike's just
which Mike's driving through it. So it's little areas like this which really, they seem like subtle changes, but they actually make such a big difference when you're playing it.
We're actually going to focus on to the point.
Well, I was going to ask, for the benefit of the viewers at home, I thought I'll exit the dust storm and we can see what that experience is like.
Really, it just blocks all view, doesn't it? You're fully in the dust storm. There's no other way around it until
there we go.
That magnificent fade, and you get that gorgeous sky back as well. I think that was one of my favourite streams that we've done, was learning about the, I'm going to say it correctly, is it photogrammetry, and the 12K sky?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make sure I'm remembering properly now. It's been months, but I also can't believe how quickly this has gone. But look at that sky; it's absolutely stunning.
This is a really beautiful time of day as well. Just to feel so hot and holiday-like, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But then you turn to the right and there's a massive dust storm there.
Less holiday-like.
It's a quick go back to the hotel room.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Close all the doors and windows.
Maybe use the indoor pool today.
I think we had an amazing experience playing multiplayer the other day when the sky sort of it went to night time, and you got a real nice sort of pink sunset and that, and everyone in our chat was like commenting like, oh, look at the sky kind of thing, and it's like, because it does sync up with the other players, it's just amazing to share that sort of beauty all together. And it's just
sure. What's it been like to play with other people? I mean, it's been internal for so long, but now you mentioned you've had multiplayer sessions and you've been able to play with actual people. What's that been like?
Yeah, it's been exciting. It's been fun. It's been nerve-wracking. It's been all of it, but it's went really well.
Yeah.
And everybody that has played it from outside the studio, getting a taster of multiplayer, they've seemed to really enjoy the experience.
Wonderful.
You organised an Eliminator session yesterday.
That's it. Yeah, we got an Eliminator session going last night, and again, it was just great to see so many people in the game from our sort of sessions there, and it's just so much fun, and like there's so much more to this map. Like it's
you're just giving it over to the hands of everyone else to go find it now. Yeah,
that's it. And you will, as we were sort of playing this week in our build, like you would see people driving around, and I'd randomly just park up in the festival, and you get people come up to you, the usual sort of stuff, play their horn and that, but then you can see them lining up to take photos.
That's lovely.
It's just really nice to see, finally sort of out there and seeing what people just do under their own devices.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. Well, that is unfortunately all the time we've got here. So is there anyone that you guys would like to thank, or anything you want to say now that we are essentially releasing your work into the world?
I'd just like to thank the rest of the level design team, Tom Dillo, Sam Pay, Andy Baranowski, Nigel Norman, Josh Broughton. I'm trying to remember all the names. Robbie. Yeah, just a bunch of them.
It takes a village, people.
yeah. You know who you are. Good job. Yeah.
I'm probably going to be really cliche here and just want to sort of thank the whole team. I mean, being in production, you do just get to work with everyone, and
Yeah.
you know, it's since I've started working here, it's just been amazing. Everyone's really friendly, passionate, and I think you just see that in the end product. It's just amazing. I think everyone should sort of give themselves a pat on the back because, yeah, it's awesome.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both for everything you've done. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Mike, we're going to crack on with this now, though, aren't we, while we get our next two guests in. So where are we going now?
I think it would have been a really great idea if I hadn't entered the festival and triggered this sequence. 'Cause I think,
Okay, sure.
So how's your day going so far?
I mean, it's not too bad. I won't lie. All I can think about, and this is a compliment to you and the team, I promise you, I can't wait to leave and go play it. If that is okay to say.
No, I'm
Yeah?
honestly feeling the same way. It's like
This is the
my
very
Xbox
first
is-
time I've seen it, and I desperately want to play it myself. And I think this here is where we're going to have a choice, right? So I do believe we have a Twitch poll here. Is that correct? We've got a Twitch poll. So we have the option. Do you want to talk us through what chat can decide for us to play through now?
Yeah. So we've completed the showcase event. We've
Yep.
returned to the Horizon Festival,
Yep.
and we have the choice of two Horizon stories. Both of them are going to be helping out one of our in-game characters. We can do this one, where we will join Carmen and head into the sandstorm to take some awesome photos.
Yep.
Or we can do this one, where we will join Alejandra, and we will head out to look for a long-lost Vocho, which is the Mexican nickname for the VW Beetle.
Wonderful. Well, Twitch, keep your eyes on chat somewhere, wherever you are. There will be a poll going up momentarily to decide which one of those you want to see. But in the meantime, we have our next guest, and it is my pleasure to introduce Torben Ellert, who is the senior game designer, and Ben Thaker-Fell, who is the principal game designer. Ben, we'll start with you.
Hey.
What is it you've done on Forza Horizon 5?
All right, so on this project, I've kind of been responsible largely for the initial drive, the opening hour of the game, leading into the campaign, and then many accolades.
Oh, okay.
Many accolades.
We'll unpick those in a minute, but what's the accolade process been like to create? Because we didn't have those in the previous game.
It's been really interesting, challenging, trying to juggle a lot of stats, a lot of data, but really fun, because the more we added to the game, the more we realised how fun they were, how
Yeah.
addictive they were. Lots of cool feedback from people around the studio. It's been really good.
Wonderful. And Torben, over to you. This is the first time we spoke, by the way, and we've been on camera together, and it's wonderful to finally meet you. I've seen your hashtag all over the place. So what is it you've been up to? Senior game designer, what have you been designing?
Well, mostly I've been looking for my air horn, so I can just fire off in celebration of actually getting this thing out there and just absorbing people's delight with the game.
Yeah.
But what I actually do on the project, mostly Horizon stories, some development of the characters that we encounter in the game, working with narrative very closely with Ben and Mike to kind of explore the culture of Mexico and
Yeah.
discover how we could tell the stories that that country has to offer in a way that would just fit Horizon and be fun and cool
Yeah.
and respectful.
I think this is something that I know we've mentioned on very many of our streams, is the authenticity in the game has been sort of sacred from the off. So what was that like to sort of bring to life?
Scary, I think.
Yeah, no, I think
because-
that's right, yeah.
Because we really wanted to do the best job that we could, and I think we had really great support from cultural consultants who could come in and give us really good guidance on things as tiny as names. Like, no, that's actually a Portuguese style name. You should use a name like this. Details like how we really kind of realigned a lot of our characters to be much closer knit in family relationships on direct advice from cultural consultants. Like, the stories in Mexico are family stories. So it was, we came into it with a lot of ideas about the narrative and the stories we wanted to tell, and then it was a question of kind of directing that towards something that they could sign off on and agree with and write through to help us really kind of nail a tone that was respectful but also Horizon fun.
Well, talking of which, polls have answered, and Twitch want us to do the Vocho storyline.
Excellent choice.
Ooh, okay, excellent choice. So talk us through, I know we gave a very top line, but what is this storyline? I don't know if one of you guys want to walk us through it.
Absolutely. So Beetles are archetypical in Mexico. They're
Great
everywhere.
word, by the way. Archetypical. Love that.
I've got more.
Love a
I've got
big
more.
word.
I throw them out, and Mike teases me for it relentlessly.
Stop it. That's
hey, I haven't
He
said
has-
ludo narrative dissonance yet.
Oh,
And then
wow.
you did.
And then
you
I did.
You've ruined it now.
Yes, terrible. Cars are generational, and this idea of a car like a Beetle that would pass from one generation to another, and then on to another, and on to another again, felt like a really interesting, charming story to tell. And it gave us an opportunity to take the barn find feature and kind of see what we could do with the kind of larger story of what this car had done, what its previous owners had done. The narrative is one of the characters at the festival. Alejandra is a real gearhead. She's the ambassador for the auto show and upgrades in the garage as well. And she has, as we'll see in the story, gotten an old photo that suggests where her great-grandfather's old car might have been lost up in the hills. And we come in to go and find that car, drive off and go looking for it. It's and there's so many stories that we can tell about how we built this, even aside from what the narrative in it is, and maybe not speak to that so people can experience it on their own. But I mean, this story initially took place in the jungle, close to where the jungle expedition is, and we moved it because it was kind of colliding with that same space. So moved it up into the hills here, where we fortunately had space to put a barn to go off and drive to. And while the basic nature of the story didn't change, one of the things that's really great and sometimes a little frustrating with game design is you go into something with a great idea of what will work, and then you play it on the sticks and you realize this road could be better, or this direction could be better, or we've seen so much of this guy, can we see a different sky in the initial experience? I'm sure Ben can talk a lot to that.
Huge amount of change, kind of iteration. We end up in a situation where you're playing the game daily, multiple times a day, constantly kind of trying to improve everything, and I think it's fair to say occasionally you'll hit points that you actually have to sit down and go, do we need to make big change here? Change that's quite scary, change that involves a large amount of work, but change that will be successful. And I think Torben touching on an entire location of a story moving is like a good example of a big change. It might be easy to say, let's just polish what we've got here, where it currently is, and make it a little bit better. But actually, if you take a step back and you look at the game from a kind of higher level, you'll probably spend yourself more time in the long run doing that, because you're going to revisit it anyway, and you're going to say, no, we should have moved it. How long did we spend polishing it? About a week. Well, there's a week we've lost.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that's kind of what we go through in the initial experience. I think it's really, really nice that we've got a story here as well early on. Not only is it a phenomenal piece of gameplay, and I think the characters are fantastic, and I'm talking over one of my favourite cutscenes because the car looks astounding. I mean, you can't get much more iconic than a Vocho in Mexico. But it's nice to move away from what we've done maybe previously, or what we've kind of considered a few times, which is stunning, bombastic, initial drive, arrive at the festival, what should we do? Oh, we'll do a few races. And we'll put the player in these kind of circuit events and stuff like that. And I actually think doing different things, like jumping into an amazing showcase and then introducing them to characters and doing kind of story gameplay, it really shows the breadth that Forza Horizon 5's got and helps push it out a little bit. I love this.
I also think it backs up, I mean, based on some of the reviews that we've seen that have gone live today, which, by the way, are incredible, but completely, I mean, for me, expected. Like, it was always going to do so well. The thing that I've seen loads of people saying is that, Forza Horizon 5 has done really well to place itself as an open-world game with races rather than just a racing game. And I think you're absolutely right in the way that the stories have built that idea around it.
Yeah, stories are a really good example of the sort of gameplay that you would maybe expect in an open world game, but you wouldn't expect in a racing game. And so it's the right fit for us, and that's why we're really keen to kind of lean into them. We always had faith in Horizon stories. We always kind of believed in them and what they could deliver and stuff like that. So So we're really, really happy with this, and we're sort of really confident to put it right at the start of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this here is one of the things that we developed as we were working on the story. Just like a little bit of the drive where you play it and you think we're missing a beat there. Can we do something?
Just stick a ramp in.
You just stick a ramp in and
Yeah,
call
why
it
not?
Roadworks with a ramp on. Why Horizon Fun? It's
Don't read too much into it, folks. Suspend your
Exactly.
disbelief. There's a ramp there.
Just Horizon things.
Yeah, exactly.
There are signs on the ramp saying, don't take this ramp, though. I'm
But-
sure, you know.
I would love if there was a way for you to see sort of like, other games that have choices. Not sure if I can say them out loud, but I'm sure we all know what I mean. If there's a way of measuring the amount of players who actually read those signs and went round the ramp, I'd be fascinated by that statistic. But I also don't
I
think the
think
type
that-
of people who play this, I don't think they're going to miss a ramp.
I think that statistic is probably quite close to zero.
Yeah, and thank God for it as well.
Yes.
Well, there we go. Vocho is done.
So this is the first chapter of the story. It's actually one of the stories with most things to do in it.
Okay.
One of the features that we added to Horizon Stories this time up is as you play through the chapters, you will sometimes be asked to make a choice about what you're going to do next.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's, are you going to let someone win in a race or not? Are you going to do a stunt on the beach? Or are you going to do it at the airstrip or something like that?
Yep.
But because one of the themes with the Beetle is just how flexible a car it is, all of the different things that it could do, basically the bulk of this story is Alejandra coming to you with like, so I read that he did some gymkhana in it, talking about her great grandfather, but he also did some rallying gymkhana. Which do you want to do?
Yeah.
Obviously, you can do all of it,
Yeah.
but the story has like a golden line that will carry you through that content all the way to the end. And it's kind of a point where we developed the feature from the previous game, because in 4 we could see that people binged the content. They would play a chapter and then the next one and the next one and the next one, and looking at loading screens perhaps not the most fun thing that you could do, whereas when you complete a chapter of a Horizon story, the next one will appear somewhere else in the world and you'll be called forward to get it.
Yeah.
And kind of
I love
our
that
secret
change. I
hope
think
is
that's
you'll
great.
get distracted on the way and end up
Yeah.
doing something else. It's fun.
Absolutely.
So.
And then throughout all of these as well, as you mentioned before, is the accolade system,
Yeah.
which is brand new, and the stories feed into those as well, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, everything feeds into accolades, but what you've just done will be recognised and kind of shown in the accolade screens later on as you play through the game. As it stands right now, it's a kind of smaller, this is the very beginning, like single category that you get to look at and work towards to push you through the campaign. Ooh.
Just a wheel spin.
Yeah.
Just a cheeky
I'm
little
excited to see
spin.
what you've
Go
got.
for it.
That
nice.
is epic.
It is nice. Well done.
You'd think we'd
Well,
fake
have
that.
I mean, for what it's
Alive.
worth, I still get excited with every wheel spin at home.
Oh, always. The best ones are the super wheel spins.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
very good.
drive
Are you going to
it.
use it?
I'm going to drive it in this scramble. It is not a recommended car.
This is risky. this is
Mike Brown does not care about the recommendations.
I like
ready to
driving
leave this
Mustangs.
office?
No,
He does actually. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
This is accurate.
I will regret not going and putting some upgrades on this first. But
Yeah. All right, and I will touch quickly back upon accolades while Mike is either spinning on the spot or slowly going sideways to last place. So yeah, accolades, very high level, and we covered this in a really cool Let's Go stream a while ago, but the very high level kind of idea is it's a load, thousands really, of bite-sized mini challenges that cover kind of all facets of gameplay that we've got on offer, from racing to PR stunts, discovery, painting, tuning, stories, as we've just discussed.
Yep.
Lots and lots of multiplayer, cooperative stuff, things like that. And completing them gives you accolade points, and that's what we use to kind of meter your progression through the campaign, which this time we're calling the Horizon Adventure, which is this really, really nice campaign that's all about player freedom and choice and allowing you to play Forza Horizon 5 in the way that you want,
Yep.
make the decisions when you want to, decide where to go, what to expand next, what kind of type of gameplay to take part in. And I think it's turned out really, really nicely. And we should see Mike will hopefully get at least 1 for completing this, maybe 2 for winning.
And these all lead towards the Hall of Fame, doesn't it?
They do, yeah. Your final goal is to land yourself in the Hall of Fame, which gives you a few kind of extra pieces of content, like you get to take part in kind of more difficult events that give extra rewards. And we have a Hall of Fame category of accolades that also opens up the kind of last category that you've got with some really, really tricky accolades in there to get. They should be a lot of fun for people with some really, really cool rewards. However, there's still hundreds of hours of content after that. I wouldn't expect anybody to be remotely close to ticking everything
Well,
off.
this is something, Mike, I remember you making like abundantly clear at one of our streams, which was that you don't need to get every single one to reach the Hall of Fame, but they're there if you'd like to do them. And knowing some people I know within the Forza community, you just know there's going to be a sort of like wild collector, like I completed all of these accolades first, and whoever's going to be the first person to get them all done. I mean,
Well,
it shouldn't be in the next week or so, I'd hope, because there's going to be loads to do. But
there will be some that will require seasons to change, so
Oh,
we'll
there
push
you
it back
go.
a little bit. But I don't think any single person in development will have got them all in one profile. So
Not without debug.
Yeah, exactly. So there's an opportunity there for
There
someone
is
in the community to
someone-
be the very
someone
first
will be
person
that.
in the world.
Yeah.
I'm sending this call to action out there. Someone will be that, so make sure you're known if it is you.
You know, it's really interesting as well because it actually requires quite a broad skill set because you've got some really tricky multiplayer ones, like winning an amount of the Eliminator. You know, coming in first place in Battle Royale isn't something that happens
It's
on every
difficult
single
enough
game.
as it is, yeah.
I mean, I win a lot, but you know, not everybody
Oh,
does.
all right.
But then we've got things like playing with certain difficulty assists on, like turning the game to kind of unbeatable and stuff like that, which is really, really tough now, as well as the really creative accolades for, you know, using Event Lab and painting cars and things. So it is a very broad skill
You've gotta
set. It's going to
touch
be
on
interesting.
everything. I believe there is a photography category as well, isn't there?
There is, yep, which covers things like capturing hundreds of cars, but as well as making sure that the photos that you take are liked and kind of rated by the community, and that you can't just sit down and grind.
Yeah, that needs to happen organically. Which, by the way, if there is any achievement hunters out there, that I believe there's an achievement to take a picture of 200 cars, so it's worth doing that, you know, accolade aside, but to ramp up your gamer score a little bit, definitely look into doing that. How are you doing? You're in first.
Yeah, I'm in first. This is easy. I don't know why these guys were doubting that.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll give you that. Minor damage on the near side tailgate.
This circuit though is amazing. I mean, I've seen it every time we reviewed the initial experience because we often did this one, but just that transition between surfaces and light and wet surfaces, dry surfaces, it's a pleasure to drive.
The Horizon line as well. I know I don't know if there's a technical term for this in game development, but it constantly changes. So sometimes you've got hills right next to you, sometimes they're in the distance, and it's just the game just opens up and closes, and it's amazing how much variety there is in such a small space.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool part of the world where you are right now on the kind of fringes.
You advertised right on the last lap as well.
You gonna use the feature, or are you
I'm
just
not
gonna?
going to make it because unfortunately, me doing a 3-point turn to get straight again blocks me from overtaking me.
Got away with that one. Yeah, I was saying it's right in the fringes of the living desert, just kind of next to the jungle. But what that means is you do get that lovely change of like dense jungle in the distance, but then it kind of opens up to be a bit flatter, seeing all the way out to the east coast.
And then you're driving through all these properties as well, which all have such character as well.
Oh, I know. It looks like an absolutely gorgeous place to be.
Torben, I don't know if you can share much on. You mentioned about the bringing cultural elements of the game together. What it was like to drive amongst, you know, flora and fauna as well as development properties, and they all have their own character. What was it like to bring those together?
So the trick with a game like this, right, is it's a distilled version of the real place. And I mean, our art teams consume video of the locations, and I think the real proof of that is when people who are Mexican, who live there, who know the place, when they look at it and they say, oh, that's Guanajuato, or that's Mulegé, or that's what it looks like. It's like, no, not really, but it feels like that's what it looks like.
I'd imagine that's one of those, I know we mentioned start the stream that, you know, New Zealand and Australia were playing. I imagine Mexico is probably a really important region for you to see when that unlocks what the reaction's going to be.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something that's actually really close to us, because having previous game being set in Britain, we kind of know what it's like. It's lovely to drive around a game and recognise parts of it. And you do actually feel very proud when someone represents an area that you live in a way that makes you go like, that's really cool, I want other people to see this. So yeah, I'm really pleased.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both for your time today. As I've done so far, is there anyone you want to thank, or is there any messages you want to pass on now that we are releasing the game?
I think it's a cliche, but I would like to thank everyone on the dev team, everyone involved with Playground and Microsoft. I absolutely love what we've made. I can't wait for players to get their hands on it. I'd also like to thank my wife Bev and my son Dylan for putting up with me when it gets difficult and stressful, because making a game can be quite tough.
Indeed.
So yeah.
Wonderful. Torben?
It's a cliche too, but the incredible passion of players desperately trying to work out how soon they can get their hands on it. The ability to play it is just, it's inspiring. It's the reason why we make it, because they love it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, both of you, for your time. Mike, what are we going to do now while we wait for the next guest to join us? You seem to be in a thicket at the moment.
We're heading south into the jungle. I was excited, Charlie, because that name tag over there is a real online player, a real person.
Wow.
Because we have now connected to online, and that is a real Aussie or New Zealander exploring the world.
Goodness.
This has never happened before. I'm going to go and say hello.
Are you okay? Are you feeling
I'm
emotional?
very excited. Oh, they've gone into the race.
Oh, dear.
We've missed them.
Well, before we do say hello to the guests, and hopefully we do see some more players, just a reminder that there is another stream tomorrow. So join us at 10 a.m. PT or 5 p.m. GMT to celebrate the launch of Forza Horizon 5 with the team from Turn 10 for live gameplay, including a chance to play with the team, special guests, great giveaways, exclusive content, and lots more. I will meet you there, okay? It's going to be a very, very good one. But now we do have our next guest. So sat with me right now is Marco Conti, who is the Principal Vehicle Dynamics Designer. What a title that is. And Chris Phillips, Principal Vehicle Dynamics Designer as well. So Chris, let's start with you. What exactly does that mean?
So Marco and myself and one other person on the team, we take care of all the car handling and anything to do with like the way the car behaves in game is kind of what we own. Yeah.
So I imagine your role, not to like lay it on thick or anything, but this is you guys are the ones that the players are really looking for. What you guys have achieved in the game, is that correct?
No,
take the credit, guys. Take the credit.
So, like, say for example, this car that we've got here. How do you approach this vehicle? What is it that you need to do to make this vehicle as like you give it the green light? You're like, yep, that's good to go. It's in the game.
So, muscle cars are a really interesting one, actually, because they're really fun to drive. So it's trying to capture that, but also capture how they move. They're historically very underdamped, so as Mike's moving left to right, you can see the car kind of oscillates around a bit. So it's trying to capture all of that, but also make it really fun to drive. And kind of one of the ways I've always put it is muscle cars are famous for being in films, and they've always got that really cool slidey look to them. So it's also trying to capture some of that aspect to it, the kind of theatrical aspect of muscle cars.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about when it comes to upgrades and drifting and stuff like that? Is this something that you'd work on as well?
Yeah, quite. When we start basically planning the handling model for a new title, specifically this one, I think we thought a lot about like, okay, it's not just about how the car is stopped, but how it's going to perform, how it's going to behave with all the upgrades, and we want to experiment a lot in terms of we give more freedom to the players to actually transform their cars the way they love to drive, not just pretty much inline boys. The car is stock, just more power. And I think like the addition we were talking before with the new drift tires, it kind of captured that mentality that we would really want to let the players like do whatever you want with the car.
Yeah.
Put rally tires on it, ride suspension, drift suspension, whatever you feel like, and go enjoy the game.
Well, is there anything you would like us to go do now, actually, on that point? Is there any particular bit you want to show off?
I think you should talk about the off-road score, Marco.
Yes, we should. So I think the off-road score, I think, is an idea that actually started quite earlier on in this project. And at the beginning, it was kind of funny. Like, okay, what should we capture in that score? Because there's many aspects in vehicle dynamics that should be considered when it comes to like capturing everything in a score. And I think we went to town with it. We just, rather than say, okay, we're going to do this, just do everything.
Just everything, yeah.
So just remind me. So we're going to look at the suspension geometry kinematic swipe of the camber, like in correlation with the contact patch, as well as the damper. So we actually simulating the suspension of the car and basically measuring how well and composed the car will react based on certain parameters of test. We look, of course, at the traction capability of the car off-road, as well as the lateral capacity of the car off-road. And also, we do something very interesting, like the roll stiffness of the car, so it just capture the articulation of the vehicle that can do off-road. All those important aspects are then reflected as well in the handling score. So the road handling score, just changing the parts, play with the tuning, experiment with it, and just find the best score, which probably will reflect how much better the car will handle in both scenarios.
Okay.
And after all of that science has happened,
Yeah.
there's a number on the screen, and the higher that number, the better your car is
And
off-road.
there it is.
Yeah, which is very simple.
So you can see that one's particularly low. The charger there is a 3.9. But then over here we have these recommended cars. So when a car has that recommended tag,
Yeah.
that means the game is letting you know that you're probably going to have a
I'm
good
gonna go
time.
for this one.
You probably have a good time. You pick one of
Which
these
is
cars.
nice and accessible, by the way. I've always gone on record when I do these streams that I love this game and I love racing games, but I know diddly squit about cars. So the fact that it comes with that recommended would be really handy for new players or people who just want to bash around in a racing game to know the best way to go, and in turn teach them a little bit about cars as well.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pick this one.
Okay. Any particular reason why you went for that one?
Because we've already driven around in a Bronco a bit,
Fair enough.
and even though the Bronco had a higher off-road score, I felt like we've overexposed the Bronco, so instead we'll go for the Lancer, which is one of the welcome pack cars. Which people don't
Oh,
know.
lovely. So make sure that I think people can download that from day one, right?
Correct. If you
Yeah.
get the game today, then you've got the premium edition, so you've already got this. This is
Okay,
included with
wonderful.
it. Otherwise, I'm not sure how much it costs. It's some low high
Sure.
value price.
And because it's on Game Pass, I believe there'll be a 10% discount as well.
That's right. That's right.
Hell yeah, smashed it. My question that I want to know is, with everything that you do around handling cars and making sure that they feel the best that they feel, how do you approach it when elements of the game is event lab or throwing the car around things that aren't realistic? How do you tackle that?
Want to pick this up, Chris?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
Charlie. That is a great
It is a great question.
Thank you.
So we've said quite a lot. Our car handling is based on reality. Underneath it all, there is actually a real physics simulation going on. But in video games, physics is what you want it to be.
Yeah.
So, for example, big jumps, we can just decide how much force goes into the car from a big jump. Because in reality, you do a danger sign, the car's going to fold in two. So we can just say, don't put that much force into the car. So a lot of it is just looking at how to manipulate forces and deciding how much the car's actually going to experience to make
Yeah.
it fun.
I'd love to know, has there been an element in testing where, the sort of like debugging process where things have gone completely wrong and you've had some really funny bloopers come out? I always find that side of game development just amazing, when things go catastrophically wrong but it has comedic effects.
Oh yeah, we have many laughs. With that.
Yeah.
I think it's the most enjoyable part of the project.
Yeah, oh, it must
there
be.
there was a bug one time, Charlie, where I think 300,000 trees somehow relocated themselves from the rainforest to the world origin. So they basically all had their coordinates set as 000.
Okay.
Which is bad enough. But because there were so many assets in one specific location in the world, if you looked at it, it would crash the game. So you could be driving around in the north of the map, not realizing there were no trees in the rainforest,
Yeah.
but then look at the
And then they're all
the
there.
origin, it just crashed.
Oh, they did this looming like pyramid or like spiral of them appearing. Amazing.
Something you remind me, Charlie, about what we do, like even like dealing with very arcadey scenario, like big jumps and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I think we spent quite a lot of time investing on suspension model this time around, and some of Chris, I know you love this. The off-road handling is particularly improved, particularly for something to do with bump stuff, Chris, isn't it?
Well, yeah, so coming to Mexico is the home of Baja. And we really want to overhaul all of our off-roaders this time. And it's something through every title we've been working on it. And I think this time we're really at the point where we're doing a full real simulation of an off-roader's suspension. So they have something called bypass shocks. So the suspension is, I'd say, the most complicated suspension in the world on a trophy truck.
Yeah.
It has to deal with suspension velocities way beyond anything you'd see on a racetrack. And we're now simulating that. So there's now 3 different speeds of damping going on. And as you go through the travel, the damping rate changes based on that as well. And on top of that, we've brought in an entirely new bump stop system as well. So when you've run out of travel, there's like an extra spring and damper there to help compose the car. Some cars have really good ones, some cars not so much. And on the trophy trucks, they're phenomenal. So you can take huge jumps and they just carry on as if nothing happened. But you take the same jump and say Ferrari FXXK, it's not going to take it as well. It's going to bounce around a bit when it lands.
Sure. Are there any cars that really stand out to you, and each of you personally, that is just like a wonder to drive and you think you've really actually nailed your job on it?
So I'm really in love with old cars. So my favorite class cars is probably from the 70s and 80s in B class. So
Okay.
What about you, Chris? But I really probably the Corvette Stingray.
Okay, yeah.
The
Always liked that
1967.
one. Yeah.
That's my car.
Yeah.
Definitely my car. Doesn't handle well, which is not in the recommended feature.
Fair enough.
You just like old cars on old tyres with lots of power.
Yeah, and traction control off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I have a set of go-to cars, and there is a bit of that. Like my go-to car for testing drifting is the Cadillac CTS-V sedan. You know that well. It's very good at sliding.
Yeah.
Love old stuff. I really like driving some of the old race cars, like the Porsche 917. Yeah, I don't really have a favourite. I think at the moment my gameplay, my playthroughs, I'm using a lot of Porsches. I think
You
the
like
feeling
Porsches.
of rear engine is really good in this game.
Yeah, that's something that's particularly improved. You're right. You remind me as well, like Formula Drift cars.
They've had a huge change as well.
Formula Drift cars now, I love them. Even last week, I like spent a good day at work, Mike,
Work.
just drifting down the mountain because it was genuinely one of the best experiences I've ever had in the game. And I tried.
That was a task that we've assigned to you.
Yeah. It was
That
a
must be
task.
the best part of your job right now, right? Because you've done all the really complex, difficult stuff early on.
Yeah.
So now, in the run-up to the game coming out, just got to drive them, make sure it's good. That's it.
Yeah, and I literally tried to compete myself against
Yeah.
myself. Like, I'm a better on a wheel, I'm a better on a pad, and like trying to beat the score. It was genuinely fantastic.
Yours feels like the sort of gamer tag that if I was to see that on a leaderboard, that's the one to try and beat, but likely will be.
I'm not that competitive.
Well, you might not be, but I know some people watching are. So. And you've done this. Yeah.
Yeah,
Coming back in. Yeah.
Just doing danger signs, you know.
Yeah.
just
I
just
forgot that we
horizon
were
stuff.
called Bought as well. Interestingly, that was only 2 stars as well. I thought that went for
I
miles.
thought I went really far.
You're going to try it again?
No, I'm not good. How close were we? Oh,
Little ways
25
off, little
metres
ways off.
in the deep water now. This is a car with a pretty low ride height. Not the best for driving through this really deep, wide estuary. I've probably ruined this car.
Well, I've just had someone in my ear ask me if I'm having any sort of flashbacks to this.
I didn't do this on purpose.
So,
Charlie,
are you sure?
I promise.
Are you sure?
Promise.
Right. Yeah. No. Well, I can tell you for a solid fact, I don't think a Vauxhall Corsa would have survived that puddle in real life. Definitely would have been written off. So, where are you off to now? What are we going to look
I
at?
think we should go to this race.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you reckon? That one or guys?
I mean,
Emerald
I like
Circuit?
both of them. Go that one.
Yeah.
I really like that one. It's like a mini Nürburgring to me. It's very fast.
It's really good. I think. Are you driving this car? By the way?
We can choose a car when we get there.
Should we get? I recommend the car, and
Why wouldn't this be recommended? This thing's damn good.
it's pretty good. Yeah, it's.
I just got into this for the danger sign because
This is such a cool looking car as well.
Oh yeah, it's
The
fantastic.
light shining off it, like the sunbeams and the colour, everything about it is just. This is the type of car that I think I would probably just sit and take loads of pictures of before I even decided what I was going to do with it. Gorge. So which is the race we're going to now?
this is called the Emerald Circuit.
Yeah. Have we seen this one on stream before?
I think we did.
Yeah, I think
Yeah?
At some point. Yeah.
Again, there's another real player here.
Oh.
Let's see what they're up to. Oh, they're a bit further away. Let's go.
You're going
We
to go
haven't-
see them.
We haven't unlocked Link yet, so we can't say, oh, they're in there.
Ooh. Oh, actually, I tell you what. On that, as you've mentioned it, if there is anyone who is new here today, what is Link? Because that is something that's pretty cool.
So Link is like a chat assistant, which tries to remove the barriers between you and the people you meet online and make it easier to group up and jump into gameplay together. It looks at the things you're doing and where you're on the world, maybe where you've got your route set, and tries to infer the activity that you might want to do or that you are intending to do. And then, for example, if it won't do it now because we haven't actually unlocked Link yet, but if I had my route set here, or in fact if I'm just sat parked at the start location, I would get the option from Link to say, you want to do Emerald Circuit?
Okay.
And then you might drive past and go, sure, I'll
Yeah,
do
go
that
on
with you,
then.
Mike.
Yeah.
And then
Or
So you-
bought in this case.
or bought, yeah. So so you hit yes. It then it does all the work for us. So it groups us together, it puts us into a convoy together, it does all the matchmaking, gets us a server set up, puts us into the race, and effectively removes all those barriers and the friction between getting into online multiplayer with other people online.
Love it. Can't wait to try it out. Talking of which, let's start the circuit. So you wanted to go for one of the
No, that's good.
recommended cars?
I think we should stick to the Intensa.
Do you?
I think we should try this out.
It's going to
Okay.
make for an intense experience.
The intense experience.
You took my line. Very
Which
good.
remind me, something else we've done with the third element.
Yes. So on cars like this, where they have a huge amount of downforce, in the real world, there's a suspension element that connects each corner. So as you imagine downforce is pressing down on the car, the suspension wants to compress. Well, if you put an element between them, you can actually stop it compressing. So we've implemented that for FH5. So this car has third element. So between those two suspension components, there is another spring now that's just helping to support the amount of aero load onto the car. Which also means you can soften out your spring rates to make it a little bit more compliant.
This is ridiculously fast.
It is quick. I'm going to be quiet,
Yeah.
I think, for this race. I was hoping you might have said, let's do it in the Supra.
Can't give you an easy race.
No, definitely not. Can you tell us about the experience of maybe pulling this car together, or what it's like, generating this particular beast?
So we've always used real world data. So we work with manufacturers and we do a lot of research on our cars to try and make sure we're actually basing the car on real information. So we're taking real weights, real weight distribution, the real size of it to generate the inertia of the car. Like every detail you can imagine, we're capturing, and then our process is to actually create a system that we put that information through, and it comes out with how the car should handle. So a lot of what we're doing is how the in-game data is being created to make it as realistic as possible.
What I do is just churning a ton of numbers just to give you all these really
Oh.
interesting facts about the cars and how applicable they are.
Yeah, we like numbers.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
really like
it's like a big spreadsheet behind the volcano. You've hidden a massive
Yeah.
spreadsheet
Oh, not just
figuring it
one.
out.
There's
Not
a
just one.
stack of spreadsheets.
Would you say
Especially-
that's the largest portion of your time is working in spreadsheets? Or
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah?
100%, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we've got quite competitive with Excel now, haven't we?
I have to know more
we
about
care
that.
about that. Yeah.
I used to do competitive Excel.
I know.
That is a true fact.
How, I don't understand, how can you be competitive about Excel?
You get given a task, and you've got to do it as quick as you can.
Oh, what with like
with like a-
shortcuts and
with
stuff?
like with like a special version of Excel which tracks keystrokes per minute and stuff. This is
Oh
real.
my God.
This is a real story.
Do you have a leader between you two, or is it unresolved yet?
Oh, I think Marco is better at Excel.
I don't know. It depends the task. I think I really love putting all the data together as a sort of mini database in Excel. I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff, and especially for handling is very useful when
Yeah.
you do that. You can really look at whole handling mode on one page. If you have a 49-inch screen, super.
And I know these races are fun and everything, and these streams are great, but I do want to see a competitive Excel stream one day.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Specifically with you two. Maybe with you as well, Mike, if you think you could take it on, but that sounds incredible.
we can have a discussion about that.
Why not? Don't underestimate how interesting that would be, trust me.
I'm excited for the commentary.
Yeah. Gonna get someone to come in and shoutcast it.
Oh God, he's opened the VB scripter.
There we go.
So now we finished this, I think we should pause it and have a look, because there is a progress bar that we want to look at and bring some attention to, I think.
Let's then. Which progress bar is it?
It's the accolades
Oh,
bar. I
okay.
think we're trying to see if we can get that to be full. I love the way that loads in.
Accolades.
Yeah.
We need 1,450 accolades. We
Okay.
can jump over to the accolades screen and see what we can do.
And what happens when that gets filled?
It triggers the next phase of the story,
Okay.
in which we will meet Ramiro, and I believe we have a special guest at that point. Right, what should we do? Needs 1,450. There's not really a way to shortcut. This, isn't
Yeah,
it?
there's
To
a couple
the,
bits we might
to
need
the
to
speed
do.
traps.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of it was with the Lego DLC had something similar, didn't it?
It did have brick challenges.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Been massively expanded since then.
Mhm.
But there's a similarities, I
Yeah,
suppose.
love it. Well, before we do move on to this next section and potentially meeting this special guest, I want to thank you both for joining us and wonder if there are any thanks or good vibes you want to put out into the world before you go.
Please, Chris.
So, I mean, to echo everyone else, just a huge thanks to everyone involved. It's been a monumental team effort. In particular, I want to give a shout out to McKelly, who's the third member of our team. He joined us for Horizon 5, and he's done a really great job as well. In fact, he redid a lot of our aerodynamics on this project as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, same. I think the team has achieved something genuinely fantastic, and especially considering like all the working from home thing and what happened in 2020. So I'm genuinely impressed by the outcome of it.
Absolutely.
And it's so much fun to play. So
Wonderful. Well, thank you both for joining. Thank you for all the work you've done in the game, and fingers crossed we'll be talking to you again soon. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Mike, what are we going to do while we prepare for our next guest then? Any plans?
So while you were saying goodbye to the gents there, I got enough accolades. I did it.
Wonderful.
And so we can now go and meet Ramiro at the first house.
Okay, let's go do it then, I think. And which house is this? And where is it?
Yes, so this is Casabella. It's the first house that the player will unlock. It's a lovely, beautiful little house in the town of Mullahay, just near the Horizon Festival. So obviously the player works at the festival. That's their job.
Okay.
But this is where they live when they go and chill out and maybe play some video games. Or
It's
something.
got the wonderful price tag of free as well.
That's great, isn't
Which
it?
more houses
Which
have that?
it would set off alarm bells, wouldn't it, if someone tried to give you a free
Yeah,
house?
just a
I
bit.
feel like.
But then also, I would bite their hand off to take the key. Thank you very much. While you're on your way there, we do have our next guest joining us. So please, everyone in chat, I was going to say in the room can shout if you want. I am joined by Dave Orton, game designer, and Mattia Zucchelli, who is the audio designer. So Mattia, let's start with you. What kind of stuff have you been working on?
Yeah, absolutely. As Fraser mentioned before, we as audio designer really get to collaborate with lots of departments and disciplines, areas of the game, which is amazing. And in particular, I worked on UI audio design, so post-race, pause menu, accolades, cinematics, so working with Matt's team that you met earlier, showcases, expeditions, lots of fun areas. And then a big area that I work with Dave here and Torben as well is voiceover, so making sure that all dialogue lines get recorded, implemented in game, and sounding great in the final product. So,
Wonderful. And Dave, I know we spoke a few times, but if anyone's new here today, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so I'm on the game design team. We're kind of a team that are there to make all the features as fun as possible, I suppose, if you would sum it up. The sort of things I've been responsible for here, the music, working with Mike and Fraser, who was on the stream earlier, to make this the best soundtrack possible. The VO script as well, so me and Mattia kind of helped sit in with the recording sessions. They were really good fun. And the Super 7 as well, so the feature that they sort of brought across with all the fun challenges that you can make.
I don't think we've actually looked at Super 7 yet.
No, we haven't.
No.
We'll do it later.
We'll do it later.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Shall I arrive at the house?
Yes, I think so.
things.
Let's do it. Let's go meet Ramiro.
I was being a bit of a hoonigan and doing some donuts around Mullahay, but let's do it.
Is this based on any particular house? Is there a reference design for this, or you
That
just
is a question
went
to which
for
I
it?
do not know the answer, I'm afraid.
Oh,
Charlie.
I should have saved it for the right person.
I would say probably.
Yeah.
But I'm not
It
actually
is
sure.
gorgeous.
I've not seen any reference of it to confirm that for reals.
Yay.
And there it is, the opener. I think that just gave me a couple of goosebumps. I won't lie.
We can't even hear the music.
I know, I can't.
no.
I'm just looking at it and my skin's freaking out.
You know, every time that music plays, I mean,
that's going to be the thing for me as I go home and actually listen to it. It's going to be like, whoa!
exactly.
A whole other layer. So we're back in the character customization, and this is where we can dress them.
Yeah, that's nice in there.
Yeah, I think we should stick with the dresses.
Cool. Sorry, I was just wanted to change out those default clothes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm also going to change car
Mm-hmm.
and take this one out.
Nice.
And then I think this is. Oh yeah. So next up, we kind of begin our Horizon adventure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as we exit the house, which I will do now.
And as we exit, there's going to be a couple things we can do. So I think I'm thinking of giving Twitch another poll if they can handle it. So I'm going to ask you guys what our first Horizon adventure should be. So the choices are as follows. Are we going to do Tullum, which is road racing, Jungle, which is off-road, or Baja, which is cross-country? That'll appear at some point in chat. Just vote whatever you want and then we'll do it. But do you want to walk us through all the different options?
Yeah, so Tullum, not saying you shouldn't pick it. You can vote for whatever you want to vote for. But we have done this on a live stream before.
Yeah. Okay.
You will be re-seeing
I wonder where that was going then.
Yeah. But that's democracy. You can pick that if you want. This one is an expedition that goes through the jungle. We explore the abandoned airstrip. We find some secrets.
We do.
And then we head out deeper into the jungle. This one, well, it goes up the volcano.
I mean,
so not saying you've got to pick that one.
all you need to know, really.
Not saying you've got to pick that one, but maybe you want to pick that one as well. Anyway, over to you guys to vote.
Well, while they're voting, we are going to bring in our special guest now, and we are going to be talking to Abraham, who is the voice of Ramiro. Can you hear us, Abraham? There he is. You're right, Abraham. How are you doing?
Hello.
Good to see you
Hi,
again.
welcome to the stream. How are you doing today?
All good. I'm very excited and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I cannot imagine. So you are a very special guest. You are the voice actor for Ramiro, and you are actually joining us live from Mexico. So I guess the most important question to ask you is what it feels like to be representing your home country with such a key character.
Well, it's amazing because I personally love my country. I am very excited to show you how it feels, all the colors, all the flavors, to guide you by the hand as a player and express the feelings that people from Mexico have for our home.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. And I mean, this isn't even your first time in a film or video game either. So if anyone is watching or listening to the stream right now, where else would they recognize your voice from?
Okay, well, I started as a dubbing actor here in Mexico. I've been working since I was 5 years old. And I started with movies like Finding Nemo. I was the voice of the little turtle, Squirt.
Oh, amazing.
So cool.
Yeah. I also worked for Meet the Robinsons. And then, more recently, I was the voice for Finn on Star Wars.
Wow.
I was the voice for Seth on League of Legends. I also was Kid Flash in the DC universe. I mean, there's a lot to choose.
Amazing. Wow, that's absolutely loads. And now you have your own voice and it's sort of the lead character in a game. And to go with that, you were actually 3D scanned into it as well. So your likeness is there. Please give us as much information as what that is like as possible. Because I don't know if that's ever going to happen to me, but I find it fascinating.
Okay, it was really interesting. There's something they tell you. They tell you like, okay, we're gonna need you to use like comfy clothes. You're gonna be on a how do you say, like, shorts. You're just going in their shorts, and there's a little detail. The scanning needs to be as clean as possible, so we need you to be completely shaved. So you have to shake like the arms, the legs, etc., and then you get into a room where they take pictures, making the famous T pose.
Okay.
Yeah. Lots of poses, hand poses, faces, etc., and they take you like pictures with 68 cameras at the time.
Wow. That sounds awful.
It's amazing.
And what's it like to actually see yourself fully realized then in 3D form? Was that a fun thing to see, or was it quite scary?
I was quite nervous. I mean, at the beginning, I thought, "Oh my God, what if this goes wrong? What if I'm very different?" And then I saw myself on the gameplay, and I was like, "Wow! Now I can be immortal. I just have to load my conscience."
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think we spoke previously about the idea that you play other games and you sort of project yourself. We've mentioned Gordon Freeman in the past has no voice, so you sort of become that persona, or other iconic characters. But you quite literally have a video game that you voice and are in, so it's gonna be very easy for you to imagine yourself there, right?
Yes. Yes, I love it. I love it. It's a milestone on my career.
Amazing. I love it. I'm so thankful it's for this game. I was going to ask, what's it like working on the VO and going through the scripts with the guys we have in the studio today?
It was amazing. I mean, everybody on the team was guiding me with such, such love for the project. They were very careful explaining to me, Torben, Mattia, Fraser, everybody on the team, Matt, Mike, they were all talking to me like, okay, you're a mirror, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. We need you to guide the players throughout this exciting adventure in Mexico. You're a pilot, you are, all the background.
Yeah, and you have there's
And
there's
it
an
was
odd
pretty
amount
fun.
of coincidences here for you as well, because your life sort of is Forza Horizon 5. Your dad was a pilot outside of the game itself. Your birthday is the day the game comes out, November 9th.
Yeah,
so
it's funny. My girlfriend's dad is called Ramiro, and he is a pilot. That's like a big coincidence.
it's like they just literally
yeah.
put you in the game, huh?
Yes.
I mean,
They were
that is one
checking
of the,
me out.
that is one of the things we found. One of the reasons I think we really fell in love with Abraham as an actor is that when we kind of explain the character, and it's like, okay, so you're this guy, and he really loves Mexico, and he's so excited that other people have come to Mexico, and you're going to be showing them all the great things it has to offer. And Abraham's like, yeah, that's me. I do love Mexico. I do want to show you
So
around.
I don't need to act.
Honestly, yeah.
And on top of all that, you're a
that's
huge gamer as well. Like I've been told on good authority that you love Halo, for example.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite games, if not my favorite game. And well, as you can see, I have my shrine.
I was going to say right behind you as well.
I got my collectibles, and I also played Forza Horizon since the third delivery.
Wow. Same here, by the way. That's
Yeah.
when I joined the franchise, and you sort of get hooked, don't you?
Yes.
It's amazing. So I sort of, before we move into actually, because the poll has been answered, we're going to do the Baja
Oh, good.
course, if you
Excellent
want.
choice.
So we'll
Excellent
get that
choice.
going. You can stick around and talk to us there. But just before we go, I'm really curious to know your thoughts as a gamer and as an actor. What's it like to be involved in, not just voicing video games, but being in one that is so important to you and something you've been involved with a franchise for a while, just as a player?
Okay, as a player, it's very interesting because you spoil yourself lots of the surprises. You get to know how is it gonna end.
Yeah,
what
true.
are you going to unlock? But on the other end, it's incredible because you have this responsibility as a gamer to give it the best for all the players.
Yeah.
And I
totally.
think that gives you that spice to make it even more interesting and amazing.
Wonderful. Well, talking of interesting and amazing, we are going to get into this event in a minute. So I don't know, Mike, if you want to give us a little bit of a build-up of, they voted for the one you wanted them to vote for. So tell them what they've picked now, what you've won.
Well, if you don't mind, Dave, do you mind explaining it?
Go on, Dave.
Yeah, so throughout the Horizon adventure,
Mhm.
you're going to go on expeditions to expand the festival.
Mhm.
And so expeditions are these really cool set-piece experiences
Mhm.
where you sort of travel and explore new areas of Mexico with Ramiro. And so this one is going to take you up to the top of a volcano.
Mhm.
There's actually lots of cool things along the way, but we'll find out what they are very soon. So
Yeah,
rather than give
look
it
at
all
that.
away, we'll
I think it sums up perfectly the character of Ramir as well. Just, why don't we drive on top of the volcano? And I think it is a really fun interaction with Haley, which is another big character in the game. And she's much more rational, much more careful. And Ramir's just like, no, it's going to be fine. There's nothing dangerous about driving 200 miles an hour down an active volcano. Just perfect.
Brilliant. So we're going to enter the event. Let's have a look and see how this goes. I'm so excited for this.
So this is the first time we've shown this.
Is it?
Yeah.
Great.
We're safe.
Excellent
we were-
choice then that you
we were
led
sa-
everyone to make.
We were saving it. I mean,
Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Influencers and stuff are streaming on Twitch at the moment.
Yeah, you've probably
someone's
already
seen
seen
it,
this,
but we
yeah.
haven't.
Great.
And there you are. You're talking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Ramiro is currently at the top of the volcano,
Okay.
and the players just going to go meet him.
So Dave, was it you and your team that worked on the scripts for these?
Yeah. So we, when we're sort of blocking out what an expedition is, and basically when we're playing the game, we're kind of going through and marking what we call a functional script, where we want a character to say something, and it's we sort of go through the entire game. Okay, the character does this at this point, and if you press this button, it does this, and at this point. But it's usually very functional. It's very kind of basic. And then we'd hand that off to our scriptwriter, who would then give us a more flourished script that reads better and is much better than character drives up volcano, Ramiro calls player. That's kind of how it is at the beginning. But then, so we had a cultural consultant as well, and he kind of helped out the script. We also got another script writer, Dan, if you're watching, hello. And yeah, we'd then get the script back, and then we go and record it. So me and Mattia, we'd sort of go in the studio of Abraham and all the various other actors. And that's actually the most fun part of the project for me is going into the studio, and before we actually record all the actors, we have this kind of robot text-to-speech voice, and there's and it's totally devoid of any kind of emotion. And so there's this really exciting part when you start playing the game and you start hearing Abraham's voice of all the kind of with all this emotion, and it just makes the whole thing feel so alive. So here we got Angelica Garcia. So she is a fantastic singer-songwriter in real life, and she's actually the host of Horizon XS, our rock station.
Okay.
And that was again a really fun time recording her.
It was really fun just playing the expedition with the actors and actresses, and just seeing how they react to it, and just a lot of the reaction was so spontaneous and honest, which makes it so great and works so nicely with the energy.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of times where we're saying, okay, the volcano is very loud. You have to really project your voice. Just trust us. It's going to work really well. Yeah, you're in a helicopter. Just trust us. But then you see it here. You see it all come together with the music, with the set piece, and the sound design, and it just really fits.
Abraham, what was it like to record in those circumstances, as well as the fact that obviously there's many miles between you and the guys here at Leamington? What was that like to record?
Well, I remember that, and with the COVID pandemic, we obviously had to make a little bit of changes, because I remember that at some time there was an outbreak here in Mexico, so the restrictions were bigger and I couldn't go to the studio, and I got my studio here at home, but there were a lot of, screaming lines.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how you doing? Superstar, come over here. Vámonos rápido. And I had to scream for like 6 hours. And it was amazing. I mean, I just kept it pumped up. I was totally, on the mood.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite lines?
Neighbors.
I was going to say, neighbours. Do you have any favourite lines? Obviously, there might not, maybe no spoilers here, but any particular elements that you loved working on and working with the guys to record?
Yeah, sure. I remember, all of the welcomings, like, welcome to Uxmal, welcome to Tulum, being so welcoming to all the places. That's something really, that's really on our culture. I love the way that we embrace the people that come to our country, and we want to share oral culture and everything we have so much passion for. I love that lines. And then there are some lines from I think it's the Jungle Expedition, the one with the big cat.
Yeah. Yes.
It was pretty fun because I think Rami gets lost on the jungle. Something like that, and it was pretty fun.
I think one of my favorites was the initial drive that we saw earlier as well. I mean, you're so in character in that section. You're essentially encouraging the player to drive through a massive dust storm, and you do it with such fun that it removes all danger, and it's just pure excitement. I think that was such a fun session.
Yeah, it was good.
Mattia, did you work or were you related at all to the player voice as well, actually, and the scripting for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the audio design sort of helps out the game design throughout the entire voiceover and dialogue process. And it starts essentially with casting all the way to implementing the game, the lines in game. So we help out with picking the actors and actors, and obviously the technical aspects of it, and making sure that it's mixed properly and it sounds nice in context with the cars and music. Obviously the script is handled mostly by game design, but we do provide a lot of both technical and creative feedback, both before and during the sessions. So yeah, it was really good process, just back and forth between a lot of departments, which makes it really fun. Yeah.
There were loads of times as well where Abraham would kind of chip in and say, well, we might not set it like this, we'd say this instead.
Oh, I love that.
And it was really nice to have that
Yeah.
because Abe being from Mexico, you know you're going to get. It's much more authentic for him to just say what he would say, and just allowing them to just, we've had it with other actors from Mexico as well. Just what would you say in this moment?
Get to breathe their own life.
Yeah,
into
exactly.
it.
Rather
Yeah.
than us trying to emulate that. Like, what
And then
would
I
you
imagine
say?
that's what makes Ramiro. Right?
Yeah.
You build
Yeah.
the base of this character, you hand it over to Abraham, and then he goes, right, okay, well, here's what it's gonna be, and here's how I'm gonna voice it.
Exactly. Throws the script
Yeah,
away.
like, well, this
Yeah,
is
what
great,
is this?
but no.
What is this?
Abraham, was there
improvising.
any particular elements that you really loved taking a handle of when it came to his personality that you loved letting come through on the voice?
Well, sure. I mean, there was a lot of teamwork involving, with the script. There was a little bit of changes. There were not so much because they had really made their homework about Mexican costumes and Mexican, slang.
Yeah.
So there were a bit of changes, just to spice things up.
Okay.
It was, it was at the time. You improvised, and instead of "let's go," you just say "vámonos," or instead of "¿qué está pasando?" you just make the changes on the
Yeah.
way.
So is that what you mean by spice
Yeah.
then? Is just that extra bit of actually what would this character say in the moment if they weren't working from a script? What would naturally be explained?
Exactly.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because there's something about us Mexicans that makes you feel like home. There's something that you can't explain.
Yeah. You can just live it and it just comes out and it happens by itself.
Exactly.
There it is. There is the expedition. So,
Nice.
if you didn't notice, we barreled down the volcano and entered a dirt race midway. And
Very good. And first place as well.
There you go.
exactly.
Yeah. It was a slightly weird scenario for me there because we're playing on this account which is called PG Stream 1, but the driver that I overtook at the end was Flo's Carver, which is my
It's
driver.
just you, yeah.
Every time I was why's my name on that other car?
Well, lovely. Before we move on to the next section, a big thank you to Matea and Abraham for joining. So I'll come to you both separately, starting with you, Abraham. Is there anything you want to say or anyone you want to thank for working on this wonderful title?
Sure. I mean, I want to thank all my family, my mom, my grandfather. He was like the support in all my career on this voice acting. All my family and my girlfriend Lou, and all the people in the studios that make possible the recordings, and obviously you, Mike, Fraser, everyone on the team, who were on the recordings from far away.
Wonderful. And a special thanks to the neighbours for not reporting you for all of the noise as well.
Yes, thank you to my neighbors.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Abraham. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I cannot wait to spend more time with you in the game as well. But now over to Matea. Thank you as well for joining us. Is there anyone you would like to thank?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been saying that a lot, but thanks to everyone at PG and the audio team.
I don't think it's a cliche at this
I
point.
know,
I think
it's just
by the sounds of it, you guys just live and breathe this
It
game
really is,
together.
it really
So
is. Yeah, it's just we personally have learned so much from everyone, and it's not just contributing to the game, but also learning a lot, which is amazing. And then obviously thanks to Abraham and all the actors and actresses involved, which really brought the game to life. It
Yeah.
was such a fun experience to work with.
wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time.
you.
Cannot wait to see all your wonderful hard work.
Absolutely.
We're going to get to another special guest on in a minute. So, Mike, what are we up to next, aside from doing another wheel spin? We've got a lovely denim jacket.
Denim jacket.
Oh,
so
look at that.
That's actually exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, that looks. It might go well with the dress we put on earlier as well.
Ooh,
So
wow.
yeah, very very
If we
fashionable.
get a chance, we can go switch up the outfit. I was just driving around the Baja circuit, which
Yeah.
is where the Baja Festival is based. It's actually built into this circuit. So yeah, while you guys were talking, I was just having a bit of an explore.
Wonderful. Okay, well, we do have our next guest in. So we've kept Dave. Hello, Dave.
Hello.
I shan't ask you to intro yourself again, though you are wonderful. Our new guest today is we have Gareth Davies, who is the producer. Can you talk us through what you've been producing?
Well, the thing I have been producing has been Event Lab, which is a
Ooh.
feature that I believe we're going to be taking a look at shortly.
I don't think we've seen Event Lab properly
No,
on a
we've
stream
not.
yet either. So can you talk us through what Event Lab is and what exactly we're about to unfold?
Sure. So Event Lab is like a suite of tools for creating custom races, game modes, and game experiences. It's really, for me, it's the most exciting part of the game because kind of everything that we've seen so far today is like content that the team has been creating over the last couple of years, and we kind of, it's a known entity to us. But with Event Lab, we're kind of letting the players dive in and creating their own experiences. So we've been making some stuff in the studio within the team. And it's been really exciting to see like people just coming up with stuff that we hadn't expected. And then obviously the last few weeks, some content creators and reviewers have had access, and we've started to see them posting stuff as well. And it's just it's really quite exciting to see what they've been developing and where it's going to go from here, because we just kind of don't know.
Well, that's one of the things I wanted to ask, because I can't imagine how complex your role must be. Because if you take Forza Horizon 5 as it is a game that you've all meticulously crafted for years, and your job is to come up with the part of the game that other people actually work on. So what's it like to bring those elements together that the other teams have worked on and then handing it off to other people?
Well, for me, the great thing about it is a producer, despite what the title might suggest, doesn't actually contribute any content to the game. But thanks to the power of Event Lab, we can all contribute content to the game.
Absolutely, we're all game devs now.
Yeah, exactly. So being able to create events, so you can see Mike's doing now. He's placing all of
the
these
most
kind of
important elements
props in the world.
Yeah, 100%.
We've got hundreds and hundreds of props that I think it's over 250 we've got available to the players now. Some of them are smashable, so when you hit them, they kind of break apart into pieces. Some of them have color variants, so you can see there's like a paintbrush icon on some of them, where you can choose like different, and you can kind of go crazy with it and really decorate your route or your event. So you can create just a kind of race where you place checkpoints and you put the scenery around it, however you like. But you can also kind of we probably won't dig into it today because it's quite a deep dive to go into that, but there's a rules of play option where you can set custom rules, so you can make it so the race is no longer won by the person who crosses the finish line first. Now it can be the person who smashes the most pinatas or gets the most air skills.
So
or
the arcadey elements can come into it as well.
And so it's kind of, what players are going to do with this and what game modes they're going to create. We're just, I think me and Dave have talked about like our favourite thing to do over the last week or so, as soon as we like log on to the game, is click over to Event Lab and the new tab. There's various tabs of like the trending events and stuff, and just seeing what people have posted overnight and jump into it and play it. So yeah, we're super excited about it. Oh, we're getting the Forza Link intro.
Seems that way.
And so I have to ask as well, for those people who played for a fair bit and we saw Super 7 join at the end, what's the distinction between Super 7 and Event Lab? What's the way of thinking about the two elements?
So Event Lab is really kind of taking it all to the next level, I guess. On a kind of bare bones level, you can create your own races. So with Super 7, they were kind of short challenges like danger signs, getting to a destination, that kind of thing, whereas you can actually create like a full, point-to-point race or a multi-lap race. You can also create events at PG arenas, so the stadium, all the kind of events where the King and Infected and all those game modes take place. But yeah, the rules of play screen is really the thing that kind of breaks it apart, in that you can now dive in and create all these kind of custom rules and custom game modes and create your own kind of way of playing.
Lovely. Okay, so we're looking at it now. Anything standing out to you? I mean, these will all be PG editors at the moment, as we can see.
They will, like Rabid Mr. Noodle. I know that.
This one is actually really good, I've heard. Yeah,
really?
I've heard this one is probably... Actually, I would say the Jeep-tastic Park is pretty good as well. I mean, they're all good. They're all PG Editor's Choice. So.
Yeah, so the PG Editor's Choice is a tab where we can just like internally highlight. So they're not necessarily ones created by PG. They are mostly at the moment just because we're the ones who have access to the game. But we can pick anyone we like, and we can highlight their event and show it in the build, and like sort of highlight to the community what the top events are, what's popular.
That must be a really fun part of your job as well, is just looking at what other people have built. How easy is it to see what's trending, and then what's the sort of the process for figuring out, we're going to recommend that one?
So it is. yeah, we can kind of browse the new tab, and there's a trending today, and there's all-time greats and best of the month. So there's a whole different kind of selection of ways of like filtering through what's been posted. But yeah, I guess it's going to be part of the challenge for us over the next few weeks and months as it goes from a relatively small group of people to tens of thousands of players, making sure that but luckily, because players can, when they complete an event, it gives them the option to like or dislike the event.
Yes, that feature
so there's like
returns.
a voting system which can help surface the popular ones.
Garrett's a very, very competitive event lab builder as well.
Yes,
So if you were to dislike his events, he would take it very, very personally.
We have an internal Teams channel where we're sending all of our events over, and you are definitely the most active on that channel.
A couple of people's events have been mentioned in some of the reviews that have gone live today, and I'm not at all annoyed that mine wasn't one of the ones that got mentioned.
He really doesn't like feedback as well. He sends it out and he just wants you to say, I love this, this is brilliant.
It's the best kind of feedback, though, in fairness. That's all I'd want to hear. So.
Yeah, in my role, I'm used to giving people more constructive feedback. He doesn't like it.
We need to be constructive on perfection now, though, do we? So, which is the one that we've gone for?
We've just jumped into the Gauntlet of Fun, made by someone called Rabid Mr. Noodle. Don't know who that is.
No, not a clue, no.
And I mean, you can decide for yourself if it's good or not. I think it's pretty good.
And what makes it so good?
Well, first of all, it's a Gauntlet of Fun.
Okay,
right?
So it's in the title.
The title gets you already. Let's watch. Let's show this cut.
So what was your vision here, Dave?
My vision here was to make a Gauntlet of Fun. So basically, very easy to drive.
Oh my goodness!
And so there's nothing. It's not too hard to complete. We're just throwing in lots of silly things to do.
What on earth is
this is.
If you let's take a step back.
That doesn't look like a Gauntlet of Fun for that pilot.
Yes,
at all.
And I've actually hidden a tank on there as well. There's the little tank mascot we have. Then you enter the hyperdrive. So you can see we're actually in Event Lab. You can show major notifications and sort of display messages. You can play sound effects. So every time you hit these little tank pinatas, you get a sound effect. You get the grunt birthday party.
Very
car
good,
horn.
excellent.
Plus, you've actually got a score ticking up there, so you can see the aim of this is to pop as many pinatas as possible. And the more pinatas you pop, the higher your
and the more fun you have.
The more fun you have in the Gauntlet of Fun.
Exactly.
I feel like I had fun.
I had a lot of fun watching that.
Let us know in the chat. Did you have fun watching that? Are you going to like it though? Come on.
Oh, come
on. Actually, we should check out if we can the Jeep-tastic.
Yeah,
that's a very different experience.
Very different experience.
Oh, there's Horizon Tour. That's a thing that's just unlocked for us as well.
Ooh. What's Horizon Tour? Top line. What's that?
It's a co-op online experience. Pretty laid back, pretty chill. Lets you explore the world and experience loads of different cars and driving experiences.
Lovely. That sounds good.
All right, let's jump into Jeep-tastic Park.
Yeah, so something that we're already starting to see.
But I'm going to need to buy a Jeep, aren't I?
You might have to.
Yeah.
Something that we've seen internally is just the scope of experiences that you can create with Event Lab. So with someone, Matt Pickering, who's upstairs, he is really good at making like actual game modes using the rules of play.
Okay.
So we have this Destruction Derby mode where you got to race and hit other cars to get more points.
Oh, that sounds
there was
great.
one where like a domination mode, which I think is one of our editor's choice, where you score points by having the fastest split time between checkpoints.
Okay.
We're really, really excited to see what the community do with
There's so many different options. I love that you can really uniquely create an event with this.
Exactly.
Speaking of uniquely created events, so Dave made the Gauntlet of Fun, and it was very fun.
It was all right.
Had a great time. Great time. This one was made by Matt Turner, who was on the sofa just a little earlier in the show, and you might have picked up from Matt. He's a man who likes to tell a story.
Yeah.
He's got an eye for cinematography.
Yes, yes.
Love it.
And this is a perfect example of that.
And just quickly, the lighting while it's raining is stunning. Oh my, are you kidding me?
I know.
Are you
Can you
kidding
guess what
me?
he was inspired by for this creation? And one thing that's really exciting about Event Lab is we can actually pick out created events, and we can put them in the festival playlist. So players can actually create events that can sit right alongside the content that the development team have made, and be, you know, part of that festival playlist where we put the kind of top tier stuff. So if anyone watching who's diving into Event Lab, yeah, it's super exciting that we're going to be looking to pick out the community creations and show them to everybody.
It's also the fact that like this is something that's able to be created as well. This is amazing.
So what I love about this, obviously, it's a lot better than the Gauntlet of Fun, which is great.
No, this just has less
they're
of the
both
fun.
good in their own different
They're
ways.
both good in their own way, but this is, you know, much more cinematic. I mean, it would make sense with Matt being a cinematics guy, but radio off, time of day change, weather, just really kind of the fundamental building blocks that totally change the way you approach and feel when you're playing an event.
And he's set up the rules in the rules of play to put that objective saying to collect the 8 crates, and then he's got another one that's making the score go up as he hits each crate.
You've only got one more to go now. This is
And
stunning.
because Matt, a good game designer, there are actually extras in here as well. These extra crates.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
So you're not frustrated.
Oh.
Oh, God, we've got breached again.
Oh.
Sorry, G,
No,
you can do it.
you're
Come on,
good,
G.
you're
Yeah, very good. Now,
We've
is
got
there
to
going
make
to be a dinosaur?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? In Jurassic Park, you don't actually see the dinos that often.
And when you do, you really see one.
There we
What
go.
could be here?
Oh, God!
That was really good.
That dinosaur, obviously, people may remember from Super 7 back in Forza Horizon 4.
Yep.
One of the few things that we actually brought back, the 250 odd props that we've given, they're pretty much all new items of stuff that we put in the game that is new to Forza Horizon 5. But yeah, bringing back that dinosaur was actually quite a difficult process for the development team.
Okay.
We went through several weeks of like the dinosaur being invisible, or it was bright pink, or its eyes wouldn't appear.
That all sounds
really.
cool.
I think honestly, John Hammond had an easier time bringing back dinosaurs. than we got there in the end.
So I think that dinosaur, it is the dinosaur from the Hot Wheels expansion in Horizon 3, which was actually
we've got real value out of it.
Yeah, which was the first project I worked on here. So I feel like every time me and the dinosaur, we've like.
It's funny because I remember when we announced Super 7 years ago, we did a stream about it, and you were adamant on putting dinosaurs
Everywhere.
on your Super 7 course. They were everywhere. I think you used most of your like prop availability
With
just on dinosaurs. Yeah.
So whenever I'm making something in Event Lab, there is always a hidden dinosaur somewhere in that. So
Just like your little tag.
Just burning a bit of the prop budget.
Burning a bit of the prop budget.
Should we do another one? I think we've got time for one more of them.
Have we?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Gareth,
They've
steer me,
all
what
been
we're
so
doing.
different so far, so I'm keen to see what else there is.
I mean, there's a bunch of different options here. We could
like look at one. We could go like
could risk
really
just going
wild
for
and just going
what are
pick one
people
from
making?
pick one from the internet people.
So you can see on these new ones, when they've got the little pencil icon on the top left, that means that they've created a custom route, because you don't have to. You can take one of our existing routes and just sort of set restrictions and time of day and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a lottery here of what we might.
Well,
what
tell
we
me,
might be getting.
help me out. You're the producer.
I mean, we could look at the best of the month. There's quite a few decent ones in that tab.
Should we have a look at Boss Battle?
Yeah.
Who made Boss Battle, guys?
Who did make Boss Battle? This was one that I made. Yes.
Going in, I think we should acknowledge we will not win the Boss Battle.
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit difficult. It's also quite long. It's like a 10-minute time limit, so we'll just dip into it and have a look.
Okay,
at it.
sure. See what it's about. I like the idea of there being a boss battle in Forza Horizon 5 as well.
Yeah. So
and also, you saying like that you might not be able to beat it as well.
Takes a long time.
Yeah,
not a really well paced boss battle. I'm the kind of feedback he doesn't
I was
like
going to
getting.
say, are you right over there?
I'm a producer, not a level designer or a gameplay. So yeah, a balance pass might be needed for the version 2 of this that will eventually appear. But,
So what was the storyboard, the idea behind the boss battle?
Well, there wasn't really much of one.
He came and he said to me, "I think I can make a boss battle in Event Lab." I was like, okay, that'd be a good idea. And then, and here it is.
So you can see with like the rules of play I've set up a timer ticking down, a kind of boss health bar.
Boss health, oh my goodness.
There is a objective, attack the weak points for massive damage, which Mike did actually help me workshop the wording for that one. I believe that's a reference that people may have heard of before.
At?
So you've got these giant kind of faces, and they've all got like weak points.
I see.
And you've got to destroy the weak points, and you'll see.
Oh, do I have to?
You have to have hit that first hit.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry, not understanding the rules.
Oh.
Let's not try and fit through there. It's clipping on that barrier. All right.
I'll
So-
finish business with that eye.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them scattered around the map. Some of them are quite easy to hit, some of them are kind of trickier.
So every time you hit the target, the health goes down.
Yeah, so you'll see we've just hit one there, and the boss's health has come down. And you get taunted by the bosses through the kind of notification
Leave that
system.
scratch.
Yeah, it totally is a way to play the game is to just go on Event Lab and see what people are making, because you get completely new experiences like this.
And you've disabled rewind.
Come on.
This
I
is
mean,
a live.
it is a boss
live-
battle, Mike. It's not.
Yeah. He's not going to let you have another go, is he?
And this is why I said we won't complete it.
I'm curious though, because boss health is so. I know, without going into like the minute details of it, how does one even set that up? Do you select boss health and it's a mode that you can create, or did you tailor that?
You'd have to kind of dig into the rules, but you're basically setting a number, and you're saying that when you hit the targets, you're taking a quantity off that number.
Okay.
And then there's a rule
do you
that
get
says
to name it boss health then?
Yeah, you can name the rules whatever you want in the rules of play screen, and and then there's a rule that basically says when that boss health equals 0, then you finish the player position.
Interesting.
So yeah, rather than the player crossing the finish line to finish the event, they have to reduce the boss's health to 0. But
This is
yeah,
fascinating.
it is a little bit difficult. I will hold my hands up to that.
You've
one.
clearly spent loads of times building the boss as well, which is wonderful. If you ever want to
I
go
did-
into boss design and actual future games, I think I'd know who to go to.
So I did theme the boss's faces around each of the different festival outposts. So there's a Baja, an Apex, etc. Unfortunately, when I put the giant ramps in to then make you be able to reach those bosses, it did kind of like hide all of that work.
That's fine.
But then we'll have boss battle version 2.0,
Yeah.
where it will all be
Exactly.
well done.
I think there's going to be some competitiveness with this as well of who can kill the boss the fastest.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the community will create probably slightly better versions of this
Well,
kind of
that's
thing.
up to the people watching to think they can do, but
Yeah.
I think this is tremendous, and I think this has been a perfect way to walk through the event lab. So thank you so much, Gareth, for joining us. Is there anything you want to say before you head off that you want to thank?
Yeah, it's just been a really awesome experience. I joined Playground a couple of months after Forza Horizon 4 came out, so yeah, to be here right from the start of Horizon 5 and see it through all the way has just been a really incredible experience, and yeah, it's been great.
Wonderful. Unfortunately, we will also be saying goodbye to Dave. So, Dave, is there anyone you would like to thank?
It's got to be my wife, yeah, 100%.
Lovely.
If you're watching, thank you for putting up with me throughout this project. This project's been so fun from start to finish. It's just been an absolute joy to work on, and just massive kudos to the entire team. It really is an amazing game. So we hope you enjoy playing it as much as we enjoy making it.
Perfect. I'm sure we will. And Mike, I'm going to say goodbye to you as well. You've been with me on all these streams from the start. We're going to get someone else in next to try and fill your boots. But thank you so much for your time on this. Is there anything you want to say sort of before the game is out?
Yeah, so I guess I'll say thank you to the whole team at Playground Games. I think the passion for quality that drives the studio forward, the ambition to make the very best games on any platform, is what allows us to achieve such great things and to ship a game of this quality that I think everyone should be incredibly proud of. I will also, I guess, as Dave did, I should thank my family or I'll get in trouble. So, thanks
Clever,
family, thanks
yeah.
Karina for all the support. Thank you, kids. Sorry I've not seen you that much in the last few months, but might get some time off now. Yeah, so and thank you, Charlie. Thank you for coming and hosting these streams for us.
You
It's been
couldn't keep
excellent.
me away, honestly. I'd just turn up every other week anyway. Like, what are we talking about today, lads? Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful. We are going to get some new guests on this sofa. I don't know what we want to do at this point, though. Shall I play the game, or are we going to show something else? We're going to what? Sorry. Oh, I'm going to play it.
You can finish off the boss battle, Charlie. See
Oh,
if you
go
can
on
do
then.
it.
Let's do that.
I think I've done all the easiest targets though.
Oh,
So.
well, we'll see. We'll see what I can find. So, okay, there's a target over there. I'm going to try and see if I can hit, but I'm not sure on the angle of. Oh, I need to go round. It's there. Okay. So I'm going to get to the top of this, and then it looks like I need to take a right, maybe. Oh God. Oh no! Oh, there's a lot of pressure. That was intentional. Intentional of showing off, fundamentals of driving a car and what you can and can't do. So let me see if I can do that again properly, maybe. And also, as I attempt to do it, I can introduce you to the wonderful human who is now sat next to me, who is Andy Baranowski. How are you doing, my dear?
Oh yeah, I'm great, thank you. It's
Wonderful.
nice to see you in person again.
I know, isn't it great?
Yeah.
So you are the level designer. What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm part of the team, much like Aaron that you had on earlier, that helped design some of the showcases that we did, and some of the road design and the world design, and making that as fun as possible to play.
Yeah, I'm sure you've smashed it. In fact, saying that, I'm going to pass this over to you so I can
right,
concentrate. So I can also introduce the other guests and say that it's my pleasure to also say that Forza Horizon 5 is now unlocked in Japan. If anyone is watching and hasn't noticed the time, you can play it yourself now. So off you pop. Well done. I'm also joined on the other side of the room by Simon Hughes, who is the senior environmental artist, and Mike Bennett, the senior producer. So Mike Bennett, let's start with you, my dear. What have you senior produced?
Thanks, Charlie. Nice to be here. So my job really is to work with the environment team. And I guess a good way to think about what I do is I'm a project manager, basically. And my role is to help the team, I guess, cost the scope of their vision.
Okay.
So to understand them, how much of what they want to make can we make? And then provide a bit of a plan and a schedule to sort of execute against.
Okay, lovely. And what about you, Simon? What do you get up to? So senior environmental artist, that must be a pretty significant role on Forza Horizons.
It's been really good, this project. So I've taken the role of running one of the sub-disciplines we have within environment art, this project. So we have a few disciplines. We've got like roads and foliage, which you might have talked about before with some other people. But I run the team that make the man-made assets.
Okay.
So that's everything in the environment is man-made that isn't the roads.
Okay,
so
interesting.
That's kind of my role.
Wonderful. So I think we're going to have to. I think
Yeah, I
Gareth
think
has
let's-
got us with this, hasn't he?
Yeah.
The boss, unfortunately, we are going to leave for you guys to destroy. We clearly are not storming this castle today, and we're going to move on.
Should we like it? I
Well,
mean,
judging what he said before, I think we do
not
have
sure
to
I
like
do
it.
like it.
It's pretty cool.
got
We were
it, yeah.
admiring it on the way in.
We
so,
can't dislike anything on this stream. No, positive vibes all around. But we have 3 new guests. So is there anything in particular you want us to go look at, or anything that you worked on that you want to sort of show off your stamp to the world?
Well, I did think, Charlie, that we've heard a lot about how much bigger our game world is, and I'm sure the viewers would like to hear a few more factoids there.
Absolutely.
So I think the figure we've given people is broadly the game world is 1.5 times bigger than what we shipped on Forza Horizon 4. So in terms of playable area, that's actually 474 kilometres of road, which compares to 330 kilometres that we had on Forza Horizon 3. So roughly 45% more road than we had in the last game. And in terms of the playable space, it's actually 60% bigger, so 1.6 times the size of Forza Horizon 4. So a massive game world to go out and explore.
Absolutely.
And I think it also, it explains why it was so important for us to have the diversity of biomes that we've got in there as well.
Yep. Yeah, no, you can see that throughout as well. Simon, is there anything you would like to talk about or look at as well?
I thought it'd be cool to talk about the improvements we've made to, in particular, like the buildings that we have in the game. So
oh, perfect place to do that then,
we're in Guanajuato, which is... It basically showcases a lot of what my team does and the artists that I work with. So, you can imagine making a city is pretty challenging. But in particular, Guanajuato is like really exciting and vibrant and colourful. And, we wanted to capture that, and realising that and the scale of it was, a significant challenge. But the colour in particular was something that we're very, very proud of now. We basically we randomize the color on the buildings, so as it is hand curated in some areas to make it more authentic to reality, but we do have areas like where it is just basically picking from a swatch, a giant collection of colors, and realizing that was it was a back and forward process, and it kind of, when it started landing, everyone started saying, wow, this is really coming together now.
Yeah. And one of the things that, is quite authentic about Forza Horizon 4, let's say, is that in British architecture, there's quite a lot of similarities, but what you can see here is that every building is just completely different. So I imagine that was a really fun task, trying to give each character, each house a character and a personality, so to speak.
Absolutely. One of the things I'd like to touch on, actually, I don't know if Andy, if you could maybe try and find one of our hero buildings. would be cool.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, a
we have
hero
like
building.
some churches and some things like that.
Oh, that's
I'm
very
sure
bright.
Andy will find something beautiful in a moment. But as we look at some of these buildings, one of the things we really try to do is get a lot of large-scale variation across them. So
Mhm.
not just color, but also in like the roughness response, or like what we call material response. So like how rough or how shiny it is.
Okay.
But also we like to add in those little tiny bits of grunge here and there, add a bit of character.
Mhm.
And we've also, this project, we've done something which actually Aidan's going to be talking about later a lot more, is we've really tried to hone in on what wetness looks like on buildings.
Interesting. Okay.
So as it gets
So
wetter,
that in terms of like rain and stuff like that, or being
yeah, like
splashed
as
on.
the dynamic weather happens, it's not just a turn-on effect now.
Mhm.
So on Horizon 4, it was a rather simplistic effect, but in this game we really want to amp that up, and we've actually got like, masks on the building that tell it where to get wet and where not to.
Interesting, okay.
Which really adds to the variety.
Oh, I love that.
So I mean, we're around a couple of pretty huge buildings here. So we're really proud of these actually. As we were working on like what Guanajuato was going to look like, we realized that we really needed to make these as authentic as possible in these specific locations, because they're real places. One of the things that we wanted to do early on is really get the scale and proportion of everything right. And you talked about photogrammetry earlier in the stream.
I did
you know your
indeed,
terms.
yep.
So one of the things we actually used that for this project, which we hadn't done before, is actually more as a reference tool in general.
Okay.
So typically it's used to like make very detailed things, quite small things. But the way we used it this project was actually to scan a whole building, pretty roughly, but actually to just know how big it is and what the scale is. And I think that's something we really nailed this project on, things like the Basilica here. We were pretty much able to measure it within a very small degree of
Interesting. That's
precision.
fascinating. And then in terms of the, piecing it all together and the game world, Mike, I don't know if you've got any more fascinating facts for us, because those were brilliant. But, seeing it all pieced together like this, it really does become a world. It's not just, I know we have a collection of biomes and areas you can look at, but it pieces together so well.
Yeah, I mean, a huge amount of work goes into that, and it's interesting when you're at the scoping phase. And I guess while these guys are all focused on making all the beautiful content, the trees, the bushes, the roads that goes into the game world, what you don't see is me in the background making all the beautiful spreadsheets that help calculate all
Spreadsheets
of
are
that
a
in the background.
recurring feature of game
How
design, and
about
I
that?
love it.
Especially when you're talking to a producer. But it's interesting, you're looking at it at that phase, and all you see is these numbers. But it's fantastic as you go through the production period to see these numbers effectively transformed into what we have in front of ourselves. I guess a really good example actually of something that did undergo a lot of iteration through the project is the volcano. We've spoken about this a lot, right?
Yeah.
With that feature being so big within the landscape, I think it changed size like 2-3 times.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of discussion about,
bigger or smaller?
Well, both ways. Is it going to be big enough?
Sure.
Or maybe it's too big, it's too imposing on the landscape. Now, what effect is that going to have within the lighting around it? So then you shrink it down, and then, well, actually, is it big enough anymore?
And now it just looks like a hill.
I don't see it. It's not acting as a landmark anymore. So, all that kind of stuff really, really comes out in the wash as we start building up the environment, and those plans we had at the beginning start to come to fruition, and you have to kind of iterate around the edges.
Yeah, for sure.
I think one of the things that Mike does with my team in particular, which is great, is early in the project we figure out how many things we're going to need, right? So on Horizon 4, I think we ended up with roughly 1,500 things, textures, models for my team. And this project's we've probably got more like 2,000. So it's gone up a bit. We're not, we lose count a bit at the end because we're just adding stuff.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, Mike, basically the relationship between environment art and obviously Mike there is, he's very much a sounding board for us sometimes, and also he'll go away and solve problems for us about how are we actually going to do this, which is basically helps us realise this amazing game.
And with so many pieces, how do you make them all so authentic as well?
Lots and lots of reference.
Yeah.
Lots of attention to detail. Obviously, we have to generalise to a degree, but we're always aiming to get that feel and make sure that the main surfaces and textures are included. So a couple of the artists on my team will plan, say if we're making a town, like the East Coast town, we will plan maybe what materials it needs, what kind of buildings they're going to go on, and even what interiors they're going to have. So like
interiors,
cafe,
okay.
Yeah, things like that. So we will try and plan that out as best as we can.
Are these interiors you could see if you drive up to them? I know in Edinburgh in 4 you could see some shops. Can you do the same in 5?
Absolutely, yeah. And they're lit with how do I say this? So they're lit with real-world units of lighting. So
Okay.
the lighting team help us very much with that. So it means that, you know, the lighting values in that interior are actually like pretty authentic to what they should be. So they
Okay.
light up the environment around them as well a little bit.
Fascinating. I think, Mike, you were just about to say something.
I was going to say, yeah, when it comes to picking, you know, how many things do we have in the environment? How do we make sure they're the most authentic? There's a lot of nuance that has to go into that as well. I mean, I think we have to give a big shout out to our reference photographers who were actually out, you know, on location in Mexico, you know, in the middle of the pandemic and still going and, you know, capturing thousands and thousands and thousands of images for us. And without that, you know, it wouldn't be possible for us to reproduce the game with the level of authenticity that you see. But when we get all that back, you know, we might have captured dozens and dozens of different bins, right? And we have this concept of Horizon Beauty, right? So what is the best bin for us to put in the game? What is the most beautiful bin for us to put in the game? So
same for concrete.
Yeah, so many discussions, like labouring over, okay, well, which one do we pick? Which one do we want to go with?
Can I ask how you determined the best bin? What was the factor that tipped it in favour of whatever bin was in?
I wouldn't like to say, Chad. I think it's just a lot of arguments, really. A lot of
If there's 30 seconds of this stream that gets clipped, it's
it's going to be Bingate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Andy, I mean, you're going to be with us for a little while now, but what are some of the pieces that you've worked on?
We're actually driving towards the East Coast town, Playa Azul, which is I helped do the road layout, the network for that. So. I'm proud of that, and there's a circuit around there which.
Don't forget Rampgate, Andy.
Oh yeah,
Talk about Rampgate.
yeah, and the On a Wing and a Prayer showcase that
Yeah.
we showed towards the start. That was I was responsible for the design of that as well, and as Simon mentioned, the
many a panic attack.
Yeah, the incredible ramp at the end of it, which I kind of. Maybe accidentally on purpose neglected to tell Simon about until the end of that meeting when we pitched it. And by the way, we're going to have this ramp, and it's like.
Then it was like, oh, bye everyone, that's great, thanks. Ending call.
It's 600 meters long.
It
goes
just
down a
speaks
canyon.
to like your level of confidence and the problem-solving ability of the team, doesn't it, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean,
but thankfully we made it happen. We got an amazing moment.
Yeah,
so very good.
Props to the
props team.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the road layout as well. I don't know if what sort of chicken and egg sort of leads this conversation, but how do you get a map and then carve and design where the roads actually go?
Well, I guess the analogy that I like that has been used before about it is it's kind of like a mixtape, right? And we pick and choose all these bits that we love about it and smush them all together.
Yeah.
But then the roads that are chucked in, as they are chucked in, are full of corners that sharpen, corners that are maybe blind, corners that crest and you launch over, and we have to sort of massage all of those roads into a format that is as enjoyable as possible and also leads the players in the right direction. So we don't want people just going round and round and round in circles and getting stuck in this infinite loop, right?
Yeah.
So you've got to make sure that people can find where they want to find, and the guys do a great job as well with all the assets and the life that they put in that world, giving people the landmarks to go to, and yeah, it's incredible watching from the sort of white box stage of just these roads that we've plonked in this blank world to what we've got now. So
lovely.
Do you mind if while we're here we just quickly touch on murals?
Oh yeah.
So obviously we talked about them quite a lot, but not from the perspective of like what happens when we actually put them on the buildings. So
I've just driven past one now.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll find one in a second. But you know, we got this incredible artwork as Connor's spoken about before, and you know, obviously my team will apply these to the building, but we also want to make them feel like they're part of the building. So a bit of what I talked about earlier about like a bit of wear and tear and a bit of desaturation and wetness, that actually all gets added on top of there as well. So if you were to look carefully at these, you will notice there's areas where they're rubbed out and you know things like that, just to give it a bit more authenticity.
Lovely. Right, well, Andy, I don't know if you want to swap accounts while we thank our guests as we want to have a look at something else. But over to you guys, Simon and Mike. Thanks again for joining us. Is there anyone that you'd like to thank or anything you want to call out that you've loved working on?
Yeah, I think, you know, again, a huge thanks to our reference photographers, but also just generally our development partners throughout the world. without whom it wouldn't have been possible to create this game. And last but by no means least, my family, my partner Vicky as well, for supporting me through this. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody.
Shout out to Vicky. Let's go. Anyone else you'd like to thank, my dear?
For myself, it's actually quite similar to Mike. Like we work with a ton of artists, and myself in particular, around the world on our assets effort. And thank you to all of them and our internal team who worked really, really hard this project. And it's been a wonderful joy to work with all of them. And yeah, as many people, other people said, there's family behind all of us that support us. So thank you to them too.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, both. Thank you for
Thanks,
everything
Charlie.
you've done and for joining me today.
Thank you very much.
I think there is a Twitch poll coming up as well, so we'll get some more information on that. But Andy, what should we do in the interim?
I think we should go and find a race, really.
Yeah, I think that sounds
Yeah.
about right. We need to do a bit more of them today.
Yeah, I'm going to go straight through across the
Yeah,
front
go on. You
there.
cut through there,
Oh,
and I
no,
will.
won't, 'cause
Or
that's solid.
maybe not. No one saw that. It's fine. We just reacted as if there was something wrong. It's all drama and theatrics. The poll that you guys over on Twitch are going to be looking at next is which showcase event we're going to be doing at some point very soon, and who our opponent should be. So you're going to have a couple options that's going to be up on your screen at some point in the near future. Your options are a team of jet skis, Flood, Sweat and Gears, the Canyon Train on Catch Me If You Canyon, very good name by the way, or a monster truck in Buggy and the Beast. So let us know what you want us to do, and when that comes through, we will absolutely go ahead and do it. Do you have a personal favourite? Basically, Mike sort of led people on as to what he wanted to play, so do you have a favourite out of those?
Well, no, I'm going to leave it totally open because they're all absolutely awesome. But I know somebody on the sofa next to us has a particular favourite of those. so-
Well, great segue. Shall we introduce our next guest? By the way, you good with the account change? We're good? We
No,
switched?
I have absolutely no idea what we need to do with the account change. I assume we need to move on to a dev build. Someone over there? Hello, maybe?
Is this cool? We're having this hand signal.
Yeah.
Dev build, is that good? Change the other account onto the bottom of the
right,
Xbox.
okay,
Okay,
right,
wonderful.
let's
We'll do
do
that.
that. Cool.
And I will say hello to our next guest. So we already know about Andy. If I could have, there we go. We have got Nigel Norman, who is level designer, and Valentin Minsky, who is the lead VFX artist. So Valentin, we'll come to you first. What is it you've been up to?
So as a lead VFX artist on Forza Horizon 5, I oversee the production of all the VFX and working closely with art direction, render engineering and art management to ensure that our effects would look the best they can, would be performant on all the platforms, and additionally would be produced in time.
Wonderful. And right next to you, you've worked on the Flood, Sweat and Gears showcase, as well as loads of other stuff. So what's that been like?
Yeah, it's been great. This has been my first project at PG, so it's,
Wow,
it's been
what a project as well, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so yeah, it's just been a really great experience from start to finish.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been awesome to work on.
Yeah. So talk us through that showcase. It was one of the options on the poll. I don't know if it's live just yet, but you can sort of let people know what they might be selecting.
Yeah, so yeah, this showcase is based in the jungle, and as you mentioned, you'll be racing against a team of stunt drivers, a stunt team called the Wave Crashers, and they've got personal watercraft that they'll be racing you against on the river through the jungle. So yes, something a bit different, and yes, it's super exciting. So.
And how does that sit along any of the other showcases? Like, how does this one sort of, what's the thought process between making this one so different and the variety between the other ones that you've got?
Well, I guess it's just variation between all of them, really. Like, the train is always awesome.
Yeah.
And then this is sort of similar to the motorbikes from 4. They're riding really close alongside you, but this time it's in the jungle, and as they're in the river, there's a lot of like water splashes, and they're jumping over you and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just sort of keeping that variety between the showcases.
And sort of picking up some of the elements you mentioned there, Valentin, with the the VFX. You worked on a new particle system. So can you talk us through what it's like to actually create that from scratch?
So yeah, this time around this project we had a new particle system, so we had to create all the VFX from scratch, and we only used VFX from the previous project as a kind of starting point, as a reference. But yeah, our new VFX system actually allowed us to create a lot of stuff that we kind of never dreamed of previously, and we were only
basically thinking about the performance and the visual fidelity with art direction. So yeah, in this showcase we did a lot of different things. So as a first thing, there's definitely a lot of water kick up from your car and obviously from the jet skis itself themselves. There's also would be a pretty cool Agu Azul waterfall just pulling a little bit, and yeah, some birds like flamingos are WebFix as well this time around.
Lovely. So absolutely tons of stuff. I have just had an update that Twitch have voted for us to do the monster truck showcase.
Okay, all right.
So
well,
do you
I've
want to...
just popped us into
we didn't sell it enough, did we?
Yeah.
No.
No, but maybe people just have to go, they've realised what they've missed and
That's
they're going to
it,
go
yeah.
find it themselves. So
Okay, well, I've popped us in a scramble race around
Okay.
the Baja area, so we'll quickly fly through that.
go
and
on.
then
I trust you to smash us through this real quick.
nip over to the monster truck showcase
Absolutely.
afterwards.
And then while we're doing this, I want to know why you picked this one. Is this a personal favourite or was it just next door?
Well, we rebooted the game into the Baja Arena anyway, so we were nearby, but the Baja area is also somewhere I had my hand in designing, so quite proud of this area too.
What kind of elements did you work on around here? This is your circuit, isn't it?
Yeah,
We
this
spoke
is
about it
this is
previously.
the gameplay area, based on the sort of off-road truck circuit. So, oh man, look at these Hoonigan Cosworths. Ken Block has been making some extra cars by the looks of it. But, I'm super proud of this, with the really big banked corners, and Simon's team did an amazing job of dressing it as well.
Yeah.
Like when I left it for them, it was looking quite sparse with props, and now look at it; it looks super
So how
busy
does
and
that
lived
work
in.
then? Actually, let's walk this through. Judging that I've never done this a day in my life, so tell us how you create this course, and then what happens when you hand it over.
So I did my road layout, and then handed it over to our lead level designer, who was like, "No, change this bit."
Yeah,
and then
fair
I did
enough.
some more of it, and then that repeated itself for about 100 times until we got to the point where we were all happy with it.
Sure.
And then we put a load of white box assets in, where we sort of like, this would be really cool if we had some grandstands over here, some some barriers over here that you can't smash through, some gigantic drinks cans that are inflatable over there, and then so that they get turned into real assets that are not my rubbish 3ds Max modelling skills, and then the guys go ahead and dress it all and make it look as awesome as it does now. So it's a really, really cool process to watch develop.
And what's it like? What is the feedback? What are the elements you're looking to change? And this goes to the sofa over there, guys. I mean, when you feedback on Andy's work and you go, actually, it's missing. What is it you're looking for? Are you looking for a feeling or a visual? What leads the other?
Yeah, I mean, you're sort of designing the area to give players lots of decision points, because these areas are going to be used for like online modes like King and Infected. These are the gameplay locations, so it's just about giving the player all those options. Like every few seconds you want to give the player a decision point where they have somewhere that they want to turn off, or they have to make a decision to go somewhere. So that works both in the open world when you're just exploring, but then also when you're in the arenas and actually playing those game modes, it's giving that player just options.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's one of those things as well, when you're making these things, you're looking at it all the time, every day, and you really need your peers around you to have that fresh set of eyes and tell you, like, I've been driving this circuit for months and months and months, and you don't notice you sort of take a particular racing line that avoids something that someone comes and picks up your controller and puts the car on its roof in 5 seconds flat, and you haven't seen it. And
I think someone mentioned that earlier on the stream as well. Actually, making a game particularly like Forza Horizon is just all muscle memory, so you need to like undo that muscle memory and see how other people would approach it.
Yeah, it's really interesting to watch someone play something for the first time and see how they deal with it.
Yeah. I think that gives you feedback without actually sort of talking to someone. It's just watching them play it and then see what they do, and that really informs you, in as a designer, what changes you need to make to iterate on it from there.
Yeah, totally. And Valentin, I wanted to ask you, I mean, this course in particular, you see loads of particles coming off the back of the car. What's it like to work on so many different biomes and sort of surfaces, as well as the fact we've mentioned on previous streams that the temperature of the tyres and the type of tyres also affects how many particles you see off the back?
Yeah, so this time around, our just general terrain and surfaces are much more complex than in previous games. So we have a lot of different types of sand and types of gravel, dirt, and whatnot. So we had to cover all of those with a specific bespoke colored keycaps, so it would look correctly when your car just rides on the black sand, for example. With this specific race, I think the challenge was to actually balance the amount of just sand and dust that is every car is kicking. So if you are like third or fourth in the race, the kick up and dust from the previous from the cars ahead of you won't obscure your vision and would actually allow you to race and try to catch up with them. And in terms of tire smoke and temperature, so again, this time around we decided to make our tire smoke look way more volumetric. So we work closely with render engineering to ensure that we have an improved materials that actually lead correctly and look volumetric. But additionally to that, we worked with vehicle handling with Marco specifically. So our effects actually receive temperature parameters from the tires. So depending how hot the tire is, you have a thicker tire smoke or less thicker. So yeah, we are taking all of those things into account. And yeah, it all works in the end.
Well, it's such a visceral thing. I think every time I've looked at chat or I've seen people talk about Forza Horizon 5 in other assets, it does always seem to be the particles that people are bringing up. And so I want to thank you for that in particular. But unfortunately, that's the end of our segment and our time together. So now I want to ask you guys who you want to thank and if there's anything else you want to call out that you've loved working on.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just like to thank the level design team and just the rest of PG for just helping us put this game together. It's awesome to see it, and it's great to see people actually in the world. It just makes it feel so much more alive. So yeah.
Oh no.
The LD team have been great mentors for me, and we've made a wicked project. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Valentina?
I would like to thank my team, John Reeds, Carl Sear, and Michelle, for working on this project together and kind of bringing all the effects to the next level. And also I would like to thank render engineers Paul Pence and George Eleni because without their work, our work would be impossible. And last but not least, our art directors Connor and Don for pushing us and inspiring us every day to again push our effects to the next level.
Amazing. What an amazing bunch of people. So thank you so much for joining me. Pass my love on to them. And I'm sure I will be speaking to you very soon. But for now, Andy, we need to get ready for the Monster Truck Showcase. So are we on our way?
We are on our way. We've got 6 kilometres, it says, but let's go.
Yeah, we're going to go this way, which is the best way to do it, huh?
Yeah. That's a good job. We've got some horsepower.
Yeah, it's not a bad car to go upwards on a flipping volcano, is it?
Yeah. Not quite what it was made for, but,
I'm sure it's absolutely fine. We'll get there soon enough. And in fact, beating us to the top of the volcano is our next guest. So over on the sofa right now, we have Nick Elliott, who is the lead environment artist, and Letha Bacci, who is the environment artist. So we're going to start with you, Letha. What have you been up to on Forza Horizon 5?
So I work in the scene composition team, and I worked in pretty much all the areas a little bit.
What are there any areas to you that sort of stand out that you love the most that maybe we can go look at after we've done the showcase?
Guanajuato is the one I worked at the most and in most stages of production.
Yeah.
So
what kind of bits and pieces did you do there?
Sorry?
What kind of bits and pieces did you bring there?
Oh, I did all sorts, like white boxing. I helped plan the stage that we do the scene composition, did the scene composition, polish.
Lovely.
So I think she's underselling it a bit as well.
Oh, I'd imagine. I think a lot of people today have undersold just how amazing they've been, but we'll accept it for there and I'll unpack a bit more in a bit. But Nick, what sort of stuff have you been working on as the lead environment artist?
Me? I mean, I just sort of point at things and say nonsense and then they go off and do all the magic. So
fair enough. What kind of nonsense are you saying to people?
It's a
like tree big or
yeah.
Oh, another spreadsheet, is it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is
right.
true. I do love prettifying spreadsheets because that's the bit of hands-on art I do get to do.
So what kind of, thinking through some of the feedback that you've done over the course of the game, is there any that, I mean, so I'm asking from the point of view of someone who's never worked in game dev before, what sort of feedback is there? Like, how do you work with your teams?
So like it's been talked about a couple of times already, but one of the things we're like super keen on is being authentic, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the feedback comes around being authentic to like the location we're in, but also the context of the scene, so how things are put together, why they exist. We always talk about like, why does something look like that? What's its history? And it doesn't have to be crazy. It could be like, why is that lamppost there? What's its history? Why was it placed? What's the context of the area around it?
What's the lore of the lamppost?
What's the lore of the lamppost? And we love that, right? And that goes in everything. It's like how the ground cover's placed, where the marks on the roads are, like around junctions, decals should be more faded out because cars, like there's a lot more traffic going on around there, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of it falls around that, and thinking, like you've talked about as well, with the game being so large and a lot of verticality, seeing it from different areas, thinking of how it looks up close, but how does it look from a distance? How does it?
Which is something we're seeing right now, actually, and it's a trend that we've picked up throughout the show. You know, a lot of teams thanking each other, and you can tell that no one's really siloed in this. So I'm curious for the both of you: are there elements that you've worked on in this showcase we're looking at here that we could draw attention to? I know you said you've worked on Guanajuato, but does your work extend outside of these areas?
I did some polish work and bug fixing around that.
Very, very
we
important
all
work.
touched everything at some point. But I wasn't heavily involved with getting it there.
Yeah, I think because it goes through so many different areas, there's lots of stuff. I probably know every inch of this map more than I've ever known one before.
And it's such a big map as well. That's an impressive feat you've just said.
Incredibly big.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I've spent like most evenings driving around the map in some form or another over the last couple of years.
And is that even work at that point, or?
I mean, I tell my wife it is, but really it's just fun.
This is something I'm also really curious about, which is, and I don't know, Andy, if you can speak to this as well, but at what point are you not working, and do you have a game in front of you that you found, oh, I'm enjoying this now, there's something here?
That's today.
Today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we got the best driver driving us around today. You know, you can't
I don't know, I've had to rewind already on this.
I don't think Mike did any rewinds, by the way. I don't want to set anything off, but I'm pretty sure he was adamant about that.
Yeah, but that's Mike. Mike's special.
Mike's Mike.
He plays on easy mode, right? To be making
yeah, exactly.
Got him.
But yeah, this is like by far the most fun and most involved I've been like playing a Forza map.
Yeah.
Like literally fallen in love with Mexico over the last like couple of years of developing the game, like going all the way back to when we picked the location we're going to work on, and you know the team goes out and picks like different locations that we could base the map on, and we start building it up from like Leah said, we do white boxing, very basic.
Actually, you know what, on that very quickly, because it's something that I think I kind of 50% know what you mean, but if there's anyone who's curious to get into game design, Letha, what is white boxing?
White boxing is we use very simple shapes to convey what we want to have there. So at the first stage, we don't have a building that looks like a building. It will be a box.
Yeah.
And we just can quickly iterate how we want the city to look like. And that will inform the next stage. It will be like, I know which building I'm putting here, and I want it to have a barrier in front of it and a little garden and like a swing, you know.
And also I imagine that helps when it comes to, especially when you come to the bigger cities, of having that different scale and character and making sure all the streets are completely unique and colours for it as well, right?
Definitely. It really helps with composing the scene, the white boxing, and because it's so quick to do, it's quick to iterate. So if something doesn't look right, you can very quickly change it.
Lovely. Brilliant. Well, once we finish this showcase, I want to make sure we go to Guanajuato, if you could take us there, my dear. So is there anything in particular that either of you would like to call out that you've worked on that you're particularly proud of? This is your moment to sort of go, this was me, I did that and it's great.
Oh my God, no pressure.
You're going to go to the plant building.
The plant building.
The plant building.
So when we were still in white box stage, I was looking at reference and I found this house on Google Maps that had a lot of plans and
Love
lots
it.
of crazy stuff on it, and I saved that tab on my one tab until the day I could compose that. And obviously I made it way over budget, and we had to
Perfect.
strip it down a little bit, which made me a bit
What,
sad.
there wasn't enough budget for plants, was there?
All the stuff I put on it wasn't just plants.
When we said we were optimising, I got a message from Lita being like, please let me keep this.
I can't wait to see the plant building. But we're in this next stage of this here, which we should definitely talk about before we move on.
Absolutely.
What are we up to now? This is very different from what we were
Yeah.
just looking at,
The monster truck that we were just racing against, we now get a chance to drive.
which I believe when we shown this on another stream, we left it as a spoiler and we said, oh, we're not going to show you what that is, but surprise, the game's coming
Yeah.
out now and we're going to show you what it is. And what
Yeah.
it is this.
Yeah, this is something that a lot of the guys are particularly proud of.
Mhm.
Chris and Marco, who were on earlier, in particular, because this has been a real complex one for them to solve. Because monster trucks are kind of crazy.
Mhm.
They've got massive tyres, they've got crazy suspension, they've got amazing four-wheel steering, and they can do wicked stunts as well. So yeah, I'm just pootling around at the moment. Aren't
This
I? I
just
need to
looks
do something
crazy fun
awesome.
to produce as well, to set everything up.
Yeah, so this was Aaron who was on the sofa at the start. This is something that he's created from his brain, so there's a lot of
Sure.
insight into that for you. Right, let's see if we can get some big air off of
Yeah,
this.
especially with these accolades on the side, the option. Oh my, right. That
There you
was
go, just
phenomenal.
Casual backflip.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
as you do.
it's alright.
Yeah, you just make that look really, really simple.
You're always doing those.
Well, yeah, just on my way to work, yeah.
Right, well, before we have to say goodbye to everyone, I'm going to ask you to stop having fun and to see if we can leave the showcase, because I really want to go
Yeah.
see this plant house.
Okay, right, let's do
You have
that.
to remember where it is.
Yeah?
I know where
you'll
it
know
is.
exactly.
Well,
where it
yeah,
is.
I should hope if anyone's going to know where the plant house is, it's you, my dear.
Yeah, Gareth had done
Nick,
that
is there
anyway.
anything for you in Guanajuato that really stands out as like a passion point?
It's definitely like the favourite city that I've done. Like if you
Yeah.
think back, even on 4 and 3, they were like quite gridded and quite flat, not much elevation going on, and
Yeah.
that was obviously a choice we made there. But with Guanajuato, with like Medel Hidalgo, the tunnels that go underneath and the breadth of the height that you get on it, and going into the bowl and all of the colours, like it's the most beautiful city I think we've ever done, and to be able to duck and dive and go up and underneath
Yeah.
and technically be driving over people as
Yeah.
you can't see them in races.
I mean,
and
as
stuff
you
like
say that, well, we might not be able to go through it while you're sat here, but we should certainly at some point today have a go through those tunnels, because it is fascinating, as you say, that verticality. And it does, or at least I imagine it will, inform a lot of choices people make when it comes to racing. And for me, the first thing that stands out is the eliminator as well. Like, is it a good idea to go in the tunnels? But, you know,
Well,
the
yeah.
future will
Ooh, to
decide
the
on
left.
that.
Right, okay. We are
So,
in
plant house.
Guanajuato.
The other
Any
left.
idea which
Back.
way are you going?
We've gone the wrong way. The other left we needed.
Oh, sorry, left. Right, left at this
Ooh,
one.
left again,
Left at this one.
Left again, yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
this-
right on the next one.
Real life GPS.
We'll have Anna in the room.
Take the next right. Do I know from here? Yeah, left again. Here. I
At the
think.
end of the road.
Oh, it's not even that spectacular.
Oh, I'm certain it
Do
will
a bit.
be.
Absolutely.
Left here. Oh my God, we went all the way. Well, I worked on this as well.
Well,
Yeah.
wonderful. We're just touring through all of your stuff here.
Right. Are we
We
further
completely
up?
got lost.
Not this way.
You can jump through there. if you
Oh,
want
yeah,
to.
go on then.
Oh, well, there you go. Now you said that.
Obviously, what we're going to
Got
do.
Get some tyre spoke, get some speed up. We're just going straight off.
Yeah,
Right.
there you go.
Wow.
I worked
Into
on
the
this
plaza.
as well. the
Yeah.
Square.
Was this based off anywhere in
right.
Guanajuato, the square itself?
Yes. This fountain exists in Guanajuato. It's the fountain of the frogs.
Oh, nice.
And we're just trashing it.
I mean, that is what
Oh,
we
thank
do.
you. It took a long time to put that
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, that scene composition was excellent. Was excellent. It's now everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's just at the end of here.
Which way
Yeah, I
around?
remember.
Right, left. Let's go.
Oh, there it is.
There,
It's
oh.
nighttime now. You can't really see it.
Is it that white one there?
It's
No,
the
it's-
pink one, the
Oh, the
first
pink
pink one.
The first one, just here.
That one. It's nighttime. You can't really see the craziness.
It's beautiful, though. I love the colour of it. It's so vibrant. I think this is a feature that we've seen throughout this city. Is just I adore the colours. I think the shift in visuals of what the actual architecture looks like from 4 to 5 is really impactful. And I want to thank you both personally for doing that, because it looks absolutely incredible. But that is unfortunately all we've got time for. So is there anything you would like to say or thank anyone on your team while we're sat here today?
Definitely. Look, I want to thank everyone. I mean, no team is anything without the other teams. And also my partner, James, who is my biggest cheerleader.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen some people try and name everyone on the team, but there's 50 people on the environment team. So
you can go for it if you want.
I'm not doing that for getting a single name. So yeah, thank you to everyone at Playground. It's a massive, massive team effort, as always, to do these things. And thanks to my family for putting up with me while I worked on this.
Wonderful. And Andy, we're also saying goodbye to you. So is there anyone, I know that the last time we talk, at least before the game's out, we'll see if there's any opportunities in the future. But is there anything you want to say or anyone you want to thank?
No, just like the whole team. It's really humbling to be a part of the team. Everyone is so amazingly passionate and expert at what they do. And just like being in that environment with those people is so cool. And we've made something that looks awesome and plays great. So good job, guys.
Good job. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, all of you, for joining me. And if you want to watch more Forza Horizon 5 fun, we do have another launch stream coming tomorrow. If you would like to come out and hang out and watch it, it's going to be on twitch.tv/Forza at 10 a.m. PT and 5 p.m. GMT to celebrate the launch once again of Forza Horizon 5, this time joined with the team from Turn 10. There's going to be live gameplay, giveaways, special guests, great giveaways, exclusive content, and more. It's definitely going to be one you don't want to miss, so come back for that. And you can also come back in the room and wow, brand new faces. And join with me now, I have Tom Butcher, senior producer, Jordan Wharton, the QA technician, and Anna Polikova, who is the game designer. So Anna, let's start with you. What did you do on Forza Horizon 5?
I was designing a lot of our social features, like give drop and link and Horizon Tour, car collection as well. Touch on a lot, like as a designer, you touch on a lot of stuff. So we created a lot of accolades, a lot of daily challenges, festival playlists. There was a lot of content that I was involved with.
Wonderful. I love that. And Jordan, over to you. What have you been working on as the QA technician?
Yeah, so I'm one of many QA technicians on the team. Basically everything and anything that is in the game has to get tested on the QA team. So yeah, basically any feature, any function, I've probably tested at least once at some point.
Amazing. And imagine that's a lot of work as well to test it all.
Yeah, it's good fun though. It means I get eyes on every area of the game and get to experience everything the game has to offer, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I can imagine. And Tom, obviously we spoke to you a few times and your many aliases, but what exactly is a senior producer?
Well, when I'm not being Burke, can I say Burke?
I think you've said it.
I'm going to say Burke.
Yeah.
When I'm not doing that on live streams, I'm going to bring up spreadsheets again because it's.
I need to see these spreadsheets.
A spreadsheet jockey.
Yeah.
And you know, as a producer, you don't actually produce lots of stuff, but you work with the teams, help them do what they can do best, and
wonderful. So I see you've already sat down and you've immediately put yourself into a race.
I have, yeah.
So before we do actually go into this race, I'm going to call out how I'm very proud of all four of us to turn up today wearing tartan. And I think that's wonderful that we've all decided to dress for the occasion. In case anyone in chat's called it out, I've done it before you. So anyway, this race, what is it that we're doing?
So we're doing a scramble event. I guess I just picked it. And that's one of the, I think, the great things about Forza Horizon is there's always just something to do, you know, it just pops up. Whatever you were doing 1 minute, you could just be passing. Maybe you're thinking about going to bed, but then you find something that I'll just do that, and then I'll just do this, and then suddenly it's like 4 a.m.
And you're still trying to get that one bonus board on the rock.
Exactly.
It's always a bonus board, isn't it?
And there are some particularly fiendish ones in this,
Well, I do want to talk to you two, both Jordan and Anna, because both of you have worked in some aspects on the accessibility and the inclusiveness of the community. So, Jordan, I'd love to talk to you first about the sort of accessibility features that you've worked on and your experience of, you know, bringing them together as we reach the final hurdle of the game release.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, I mean, the accessibility options were one of the focuses I personally wanted to have when I was testing the game. Especially since, you know, we've got such a wide range of people who play the game, it's really important to make sure that anyone and everyone who wants to play the game can play the game and also enjoy themselves.
Sure, yeah.
So we've got different assists in the tools sections and the accessibility for auto steering or simple things like changing the difficulty of the driver's tires just to make it a little bit easier. Stuff like that, it all needs testing, making sure that the different difficulties of the driver tires actually work properly on every race, for example, making sure that the route that the auto steering takes you down actually keeps you on the road instead of crashing into roads, that kind of thing.
So you've tried essentially every iteration of these features to then dilute them down to the very best form.
Exactly, yeah. So obviously there's loads of different accessibility options that each have their own settings, and just making sure that they can all work with each other. To really make sure that, you know, if people do need that assistance to play the game, that they can still play it and have fun without feeling like the game's holding the hand too much as well.
Absolutely. And this is something I think ties really into the link that we were talking about earlier, and I know we've spoke previously about gift drops and stuff you add, but it's furthering that accessibility and making it fun to play with other players. So I don't know if you want to speak a little bit about the work that you do in that area.
So there are a lot of features that kind of like aim at making community feel inclusive in terms of like social as well as like in terms of like physical accessibility, and Link is also great because like I can be speaking in Russian and you would be speaking English to me, but because the game automatically translates Link phrases, we can still play together and understand each other, which is amazing. And it makes it like very easy to connect with players because you don't need to like go through a lot of pause menus and UI, and like by the time you invited someone in Convoy, they're already gone. Like you just send one phrase, they reply, and seconds later you're already playing the game.
This is something that Mike mentioned earlier, actually. You could be sat at the starting line for a race and someone could come flying past and you could just simply ask, do you want to do this together? And you can. So was that a difficult system to implement? Because it's not something we've seen before on Forza Horizon.
It's been very complex. There are still like a few improvements we want to make with it, but it adds a lot to the game. I guess like that kind of comes from the complexity of it as well.
Did you have to QA test the Link as well? Like were you two just sat having like translated conversations all day?
Not quite, but literally everything in the game has to get tested, right? And so the Link function is another thing that needed to be tested. I've personally tested it, and you know, there's a lot in there to test. You're going to make sure that, you know, the cross-language stuff works properly, and you're going to make sure that the correct kind of phrases are coming up. Say if you invite someone to a race, you're going to make sure that it's actually saying, you know, come do this race. And a great part of it as well is you can bring up the map at any time and mark a specific race or a specific event, and then you can use that to then suggest that thing that you've marked on the map as well. So it's really great at just kind of meeting people in the open world and then just saying, we don't need to keep doing road races, we can do something else, you know, come join my convoy or whatever, and let's go and have some fun.
I think you two have got such unique roles, and there's so much to ask here, and unfortunately we don't have the time to do so, but genuinely thank you both for implementing what I believe are such important tools, not just in Link, but also testing the dang game and make sure it's good.
No problem.
So thank you for your time today and your time over the past few years of development. Is there anyone you want to thank or anything you want to say before you go?
I just want to thank the team. It's been a blast, like working on this amazing game and seeing people play it and actually use the feature is amazing. But there was a lot of like help from engineers and artists when we were trying to implement the features.
Wonderful. And yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I can echo a lot of what a lot of people have already said. That you know, the QA team, the whole of PG really has been very enthusiastic and very supportive to myself as well in my role. Also want to thank my family and my partner just for all the support they've given me And yeah, just
to get us
stay
today.
awesome, everyone.
What a day it's been. Thank you again so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the day, and hopefully a little time off soon. I'll get Tom to approve that for you, okay? Thanks again for joining us. But in the meantime, Tom, what are you up to, my dear? We've sort of left you alone with the game. Where are we? What are you doing?
Yeah, so we're driving around Guanajuato. I'm trying to find someone to make friends with, maybe.
Okay.
Have a lovely experience.
Are you being ignored?
Oh, look, he's gone in the pause menu. How rude.
It's like, oh, God, not you. No, never mind. No. Well, as you look for someone, we do have some more people who do want to be our friends in the studio. I'm getting into this, aren't I? So, sat with us now, we have Aidan van Risperu, who is the technical artist, and we also have Joe Glaskadine, who is the facilities assistant. So, welcome both. Joe, let's start with you. What have you been up to?
So yeah, I'm part of the operations team, and we're basically the background to all the dev staff that are out there developing the game.
Yep.
So yeah, we work with IT, operations, just to make sure that the studio is running as smoothly as possible.
Keeping the lights on, huh?
Yeah. And yeah, we're here to help those guys.
Wonderful. Okay, and over to you, Aidan. What kind of stuff do you get up to as a technical artist?
Yeah, so Tech Art does a lot of different things, but we all kind of have our specialties. So for me specifically, that's a lot of visual stuff. So shader work, which is sort of the code that makes things look good, I guess.
Love it.
Which is a big claim.
Very important one.
Part of it. But there's also, you know,
they've done a great job on this one.
The art team, obviously, but also engineering, and everyone works on that.
Sure.
But in general, Tech Art, I think the best way to describe this, the people who enable the artists to do what they want to do. So we give them tools, we give them the tech to make that happen in collaboration with a bunch of other teams, of course.
Wonderful. I don't know if there's anything particularly you want to go look at, but I'm going to do a special thanks to Joe for making these streams possible as well. I've said this phrase before, but it would just take a village just to make this happen, just to have me sat here talk to everyone. So thank you for that.
It's all good.
Yeah, no, it's been a very fun couple of months. I don't know if you want to share any sort of background information on what it's like, even just to create these streams and to bring dev builds in to show everyone.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously it's been a tricky kind of couple of years just for everybody. So there's been some kind of challenges that we've had to overcome to make sure that the game was developed on time and everything went as smoothly as possible. And testament to the dev team as well, that they've kind of adapted to this, and the game that kind of we see in front of us is just it's absolutely nuts. So yeah, we've been kind of working to get equipment out to everyone, also to make sure that there's people in the studio if anything goes wrong, that there's people kind of in the know that can help out with those scenarios. Also been able to do some nice things to kind of get some kind of goodies out to the team. These T-shirts we've got.
I've noticed everyone's. I'm gonna have to see if I can steal one on the way out.
Very important. That is a very important role.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's been great fun, kind of, just to be part of everything that's been going on. So yeah.
I find it fascinating that we've got two people on this over here, you on the external of the game and Aidan very much focused on the internals of the game. I don't know, as we toot around here with Tom, if there's anything you want to call out that you're particularly fond that you worked on?
Yeah, I think the weather effects is one that I'm still pretty happy with. So maybe we can go to a race and just kick it into like a wet race or even a tropical storm race.
That sounds great.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
also, just looking at the map now, I know obviously when we started the stream a few hours ago, it was fresh map, but just seeing how the map eventually builds out with all those other elements is so exciting.
Yeah, I was watching the stream a bit while everyone was playing, and you would see the weather come in, and rain comes in, the puddles start forming, and then it dries up again, like as you're just playing, which I think is really cool, and everyone really worked hard on that to make that work. Yeah, I think if we just do just about anything you want here,
totally.
And we can set it to the wet season or the storm season and set some tropical storm. Because there was also a big cross-team effort to make all the vegetation move with the wind, which really sells that effect. I think we have the Tulum expedition, which is a really good example of that, I think, where you really see all the work everyone put into it. And you see the trees like as you escape through the jungle. I think it's one of the very early things we showed. Is you escape and that music kicks in and you see all the trees sort of bending and the leaves, fluttering in the wind.
Yeah.
I think it really sells that feeling. So yeah, I think we're all pretty happy with that.
And we've spoken about what technical achievement Forza Horizon 5 is and will continue to be in its life cycle. But was there any particular weather challenges for you that really stuck out? That the fact that it's out tomorrow or now in some regions, and you managed to pull it off. Is there any that stand out for you?
Yeah, the trees.
Yeah, the trees in particular.
Yeah, not just for me, for a lot of people. I won't get into the details, the technical details, but it's a challenge. It was a challenge. So yeah, a lot of effort went into that. Like I said, it's such a cross team thing. So the rendering team, the rendering engineers, the art team, specifically the vegetation team, but other things as well, like wetness on the roads. Just everything. We set it up, but then the art team, takes it and really, delivers on it. So that's really great. And you couldn't do it without, if any of those teams are missing, it won't happen.
This is something I've figured out just by being here. Oh, we're about to have an idle TV, by the way, if someone in the room has
I was trying to get the attention.
Got the botch. I'll just call it out straight away. That TV's going to go off in a minute.
This is a professional stream.
Oh, absolutely. Let's just say it how it is. No, one of the things I was going to say before we say goodbye to you both is one of the things I found really fascinating about today, and hopefully everyone at home has as well, is that it really is, there's no starting point. It just seems to be everyone's working on everything all together, and there's no, we made this, we hand it over, job done, or whatever. And I love how close you all are and working together, and I just think it's so wonderful, it's so beautiful. So I want to thank you both for being part of this well-oiled machine, and see if there's anyone that you would like to thank for being here today.
Is this the bit where I thank my mom? Or
You can thank your mum if you want, but only if she's been helpful.
Oh, I'm not going to thank my mum.
There you go.
She's literally done nothing.
Don't have to thank mums. Don't have to thank a mum.
No, but like I said, I'd like to obviously thank Tech Art. I'm not going to start naming names, but also thank the art team, thank the engineers, the lighting team, the audio team. It's such a cross-team effort. But also, hopefully, thank the players. I think if they're half as excited about this as we are, I'm happy.
Just look at the reviews.
Yeah,
I think they're pretty excited.
I think people are keen.
So
yeah.
I think we're all very happy with what we've got.
Wonderful. And lastly, is there anyone you would like to thank, my dear?
Well, I mean, as Aidan very nicely said, he's thanked most of the people who kind of have helped to make the game. But again, I'd like to just say, thanks to the community. There was such an amazing community from Horizon 4 and all the previous games, and I just can't wait for them to jump into this and just get their get their claws on it.
Yeah, just go wild with it. The amount of content that's going to come out from this one game is going to be so varied. It's going to be brilliant. So thank you both for being a part of it and joining me today. You are free to go as me and Tom relax into, what's this, second place we're in at the moment?
Yeah,
I think you're going to get it, though. Oh, we're versus Don, so maybe
I know. Not the real one, thankfully. But,
thankfully, no, you've been
his Drivatar version. Yeah, I know. I was sandbagging a little bit.
Yeah. You've got to beat him, so there's footage that someone's beaten him at some point, though. Okay.
Yeah, I've got a feeling he'd make a 10-minute video of him embarrassing me.
Just specifically you.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. While you wrap up this race, we have our next guest. So please join me in welcoming John Wills, engineer, and Kelly Boyle, game designer. Kelly, we'll start with you, my dear. What have you game designed on Forza Horizon 5?
Hey everyone, so I've covered a few features, covered them on a previous stream, festival playlist, helped with stories, also did a lot of the content types, so the characters, car horns, bonus boards, so yeah, that's me.
And wonderful, and what have you been up to, my dear?
So being on the tools team, we work on all sorts of stuff. We work on the software that the artists use to build the world and interact with it and stuff like that.
What kind of software is there, actually? I'm curious about that.
So we've got our internal editor, which is used for placing things into the world. We've got tools for launching the game and changing game versions and getting new versions of the game, and tools for queuing up photogrammetry and all sorts. The two big ones of those that I've spent quite a bit of the development working on and improving are I made a tool that is used for queuing up automated photogrammetry to save artists lots of time. And then I did all of the back end of allowing us to launch the game on the Xbox Series consoles.
Very important one. Very, very cool. I don't know, Tom, if we can go very quickly and have a look at the festival playlist while we do have Kelly here, because I'd love to know how this came to be, even down to the minutiae detail of what decisions you make that go into the playlist.
Yes, so we've actually got Welcome Week now, which has just started today. This is just a nice light week of content. to get everyone started over the next few days before we start Series 1 on the 11th. But we love to add a lot of different content, so players can have lots of different ways to earn the points and do what they enjoy, so we don't force you to do everything here.
Sure.
But playing the content earns you lots of rewards, so as you can see at the bottom. We also have a new feature. If you toggle the car restrictions, you can see that we've added car restrictions to PR stunts now, which I know is a big ask from the community. So yeah, just check out here and get the right car for the stuff you want to do.
Every time I play Horizon 5, it's the first thing I go to is the playlist.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, it is, yeah.
What bits you can bash out first. I do have to ask, who's in charge of the pun names, please? Name and shame them.
That is everyone. We can
Right.
all, help to
Cool, everyone's right.
It's like Spartacus. No one wants to admit to it. It's single person.
It's everyone. So, so you said this is Welcome Week. So what would you say are some of the most exciting things that maybe we've got loads of returning players coming back, but for people who are brand new, what do you think are the best things they should be checking out over the next week?
So my favorite thing in Welcome Week is probably the photo challenge.
Okay.
So we've used one of our murals. So take any modern sports car to the mural in Mullahay. That's my favorite this week. But as a whole, one of my new favorites is the collectibles. So in Series 1, it will be smashing cacti, and then we've got some surprises coming after that. But we basically will place them in different areas of the world, and you've got to find them like the bonus boards. So it's one of my favorite types of content to play.
Lovely.
Is what I'm
I
most
won't
excited
ask
about.
for an answer here because I'm very aware you can't tell me this, but I'm curious, how far ahead of time do you have to plan these monthly playlists? Because so much work must go into it. Like, are you working on Christmas plans already, or are we up to like April?
Well, we'd love to plan as much into the future as possible. Especially Tom would love that.
Yeah, with his spreadsheets, I'm sure. Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, not too far because we've got quite a lot to plan out.
Yeah,
but yeah, we are doing some Christmas stuff. We've got ready to go.
There's a GIF that gets sent around a lot on the live team, which is that one of like Gromit putting the train track down as he's on the train.
Yeah.
Not indicative of the great planning work that goes on at Playground Games. But
Sure. And before you go, I'd love to ask, you mentioned that you come up with loads of different tools and ways to support artists that made the game. Are there any other elements that you'd love to call out that you worked on that you're particularly proud of?
It's a big team effort, but I think just the amount of detail that you can see in the photogrammetry, especially the rocks, they're just mind blowing. They look so amazing. The photogrammetry goes into it. The art teams get those models of rocks and stuff out, and they look at it, and they take that and they make just these amazing 3D models of rocks that then are also able to be put around the world. They build up these complex structures with them, and they just look phenomenal.
Yeah. One final question before you go. Is there one area of the map you think they really smashed that for photogrammetry?
Well, the photogrammetry is used on the buildings. So the landmarks in Guanajuato look
Guanajuato seems to be the place to be.
They look so great. They've got so much detail. But then you're also able to drive around, they're able to stream in and just work. It's really good.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the amount of time that people spend there. But thank you again for the amount of time you've both spent working on the title. Before you go, is there anyone you want to thank? The rest of your team? Mothers, we've decided, are a yes or no option when it comes to thanking. We'll start with you, Kelly.
Well, now you've said that, I'm going to have to thank my mum. But yeah, my partner, like everyone's been saying, the team, everyone, especially the design team, engineers, they go above and beyond to help us in design. But yeah, so everyone.
John, everyone for you as well, or anyone you want to call out in particular?
Well, you brought it up, so my mom.
There we go, mums,
My girlfriend Ang has really supported me as I've worked on this and spent nights working. The entire rest of the tools team have done an amazing job, and I'd like to bring special attention to our tools QA, Mike Parks. Without him, our tools wouldn't be where they are. They are leaps and bounds better because of the fact he's there to test them.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being here and for such wonderful thank yous and all of that. It's been a pleasure talking to you both. So enjoy the rest of your time. Now the game is free. And Tom, where are we now?
Well, we're on Gareth's account, so I was
okay.
looking at the bonus boards that he hadn't got yet, because I thought Kelly placed those, it'd be great to show the bonus boards.
Sure.
And I found one on the map, and I thought, let's go and do that one. And then I can see why he's left that one, because I've no idea how to get there.
Right, well, we're going to leave you to figure that one out, and I'm going to welcome my next guest. We are joined now by Lucas Coles, who is the senior lighting artist, and David Paris, who is the lead systems engineer. So, David, what is a lead systems engineer? I don't think we've seen that role yet today. So, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so my team's in charge of all the tools, the systems, and the pipelines that put this game together. So we take care of the tool set which the content teams use to create the game, put it together. Our pipelines are what take that content and turn it into something that ends up becoming, the game that you can play. And then there's the build team that they underpin all the content in the studio, and turn it into.
Do you work with spreadsheets? Are you also a spreadsheet kind of person?
No spreadsheets.
Oh, we need to get someone on some spreadsheet training. And while you think about what you've just signed yourself up to, Lucas, senior lighting artist. I think that again is very self-explanatory. But what in particular are you proud that you've worked on?
I'm proud of actually being the lead, I think.
Oh, so that's a very yes. I like that.
I'm the lead lighting artist, and I basically do all the spreadsheets for lighting. That's what I do.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite nice as lighting. Obviously, we basically touch any part of the visuals of the game. So anything you've seen today, the lighting setup, the skies, that all will have come from our team.
Well, realistically, anything you see, surely, because if there's no light, you're not going to see anything that anyone else has done. So we can be thankful for that, yeah. I'm also told that you are our last group joining us today. So, Tom, we need to make sure we pick a belter of an activity to do. You seem to be doing a speed zone at the moment.
We probably do go out on a bit of a bigger note.
Yeah? What do we think we need to wrap with?
There's the Eliminator. Perhaps we could try and do the Eliminator.
We could see. You think there should be enough people playing this by now, I'd say.
Yeah, Japan's here, right?
Yeah. Heard they're nuts in the Eliminator.
New Zealand, I heard, is really popular at the moment.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Go on,
I can imagine.
Let's roll the dice and see how we do with the Eliminator.
Okay, we'll try and do Eliminator.
And I'm going to start, Lucas, I'm going to come to you first. As, the Eliminator means we can open up the entire map. So as we're going to choose wherever we go, I'm curious from your perspective as the senior lighting artist, where do you think your work shines the best, that maybe we could land there first?
Well, everywhere really. So because like you said, it's all black without our work. But I'm especially proud of the jungle. So if we could go to the jungle, I think we did an amazing job of capturing the atmosphere in the jungle. Like it feels really humid, the jungle and the swamp.
Yeah.
We put a lot of work into that, and also trying to get it real, so not just having it foggy, which I think is a common thing, but more trying to figure out why is it actually that, like a swamp area, a jungle area is kind of fogginess, the evaporating water.
Yeah.
So the way we did that and implemented it is actually collects under the tree canopies, so you get that gradient.
Interesting.
And as the sun pokes through the leaves here and there, you really get those amazing light rays that kind of taper off as they reach the ground.
Yeah, gorgeous. And David, this must be something that, as a systems engineer, you must be really proud to see come together. I mean, we've done almost 3 hours of this stream where you've touched on so many different elements in here. What's it like for it to finally be here and playable for other people?
Oh, it's incredible. I was looking through some old photos I have today actually, and I've seen I was looking at a shot of the game 2 years ago, and it's
how far it's come.
It's incredible. Back then it was just a flat plain and a volcano in the distance.
Yeah.
And
now it's kind of
now
there's a big one anyway.
It's phenomenal.
Here we go. Right, Eliminator time.
Right, where did you want to go, Lucas?
Jungle, wasn't it?
Jungle, yeah, down south, and then a bit to the right, a bit to the right. Yeah, somewhere around
just
there.
here.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Here we go. I wonder if this is a good strategy or if he's just fully stuffed you there.
Just hiding away in the jungle. No actual racing, just hiding.
No, I have a problem where I tend to win when I play Eliminator. So
right.
I'm going to try not to.
Tragic.
So we'll see how we go.
Do Do you have any tips, by the way, as someone who is just on camera said they've won a lot of Eliminator? Do you have any tips on what other people should be doing to be just as good as you are?
I mean, don't get eliminated. That's a big one.
Right, it's in the title. Yeah.
Win more. Yeah.
Yeah. Try and eliminate other people. Be in that giant big circle.
Yeah, absolutely. Which you're not currently.
No, I'm not. It's an interesting strategy.
Yeah.
I can see getting some direction to make sure I win the Eliminator, so I'm going to obviously follow that.
And Lucas, we landed in the jungle, as you said. Is there anything you'd like to call out here that you've worked on?
Well, we kind of right away left the jungle because we actually tried to
win.
Fair
enough. It's the mystery of elimination.
To be fair, like obviously here, everything that you can see lighting-wise. So the sky is obviously something that we worked up. The sun in this case, how atmosphere builds up into the distance. We don't necessarily have that crazy in the jungle atmosphere here at the moment, but it's part of what makes it beautiful, right? That the regions look really diverse. They all look different, and we got a bit of an overcast look going on at the moment. So. Weather is a big thing this time.
Yeah. Well, I think we're going to have to leave a little bit of mystery on this race. We're all just going to assume that Tom's going to win this, and I'm going to challenge you to maybe take a screenshot and tweet and prove it if you did win it.
Absolutely.
Okay, because we're going to have to wrap here. So before we go, guys, I would like to know, is there anyone that you would like to thank or anything else you'd like to call out? Make this as big, as grand as possible, because, I mean, after this, the game is out. So what are you really thankful for?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank my team. Everyone's worked really hard, exceptionally hard over the past few years to make this, and it's incredible. And I hope they're all as proud as I am of this and what people can play. And all the content teams and everyone in the studio. It's been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal to work with such passion and people that love what they do like this.
Yeah,
this
just
game
look at
looks
it.
so good.
Just look at
I'm
it.
biased, but it's. So
we
good.
love bias. What about you, Lucas?
Well, I'd love to thank my team. So all the lighting artists who have worked on this, they've done an amazing job. Of course, everyone at PG really making games is a massive team effort. So everyone is just amazing at what they do here, and I'd like to thank my partner because she I can't turn off after work and keep babbling on about lighting, and she pretends she's interested.
Just wait until you bring it home and you do it every day now.
Exactly.
So she can play now too.
I've been doing this for a while now, so it never stops. And to be honest, the reception so far has been great. So thanks for everyone who played the game or is going to play the game.
Brilliant, wonderful. Well, on that note, for those of you who are going to be playing the game tomorrow but maybe want a little bit more excitement, there is going to be another stream tomorrow to launch Forza Horizon 5 at 10 AM PT and 5 PM GMT to celebrate the launch of Forza Horizon 5 with the team over from Turn 10. There's going to be live gameplay, including a chance to play with the team as well, with special guests, great giveaways, exclusive content, and a little bit more. Forza Horizon 5 will be available from November 9th on Xbox Game Pass. You can also get early access from November 5th. That's tomorrow. How exciting is that, with the premium add-on bundles for Xbox Game Pass subscribers? If you do want to know more information, make sure you are following the Xbox Game Pass Twitter account, Xbox account, or the Forza Horizon account, because all of them are going to be talking about it non-stop, including myself and everyone who have been joined with today on the stream. But from me and everyone here at Leamington, thanks so much for joining. Have fun in Mexico, and I will see you tomorrow. Adios, everybody.
Future. We are the future. And the future is now. We are the future. We are the future. We are the future. We're not going anywhere.
Ana, sí. Oye, pregunta. Dímelo.
Soy rara, te lo acepto, estoy loca. Tengo mis defectos, perdida, corro de abajo arriba. Aún no sé explicar la medida. Lento, voy retrocediendo y cuento el tiempo siendo un ciego. Voy cayendo cada mañana. Lo siento desde la madrugada. En el campo esto es una batalla, pero no se me acaban las balas.
I got what you want, I promise. I'm not gonna front, I promise, though, let's go. I got what they can't unlock, and I rock with you when I drop it, though, let's go. I got something they can't knock it, I got something they can't top it, though, let's go. We love it, but that's the folks. I'ma keep it 300, we extra, though, let's go. Can't be stopped, gotta get out the box. Can't be stopped, better get out the way. Can't be stopped, gotta get out the box. Can't be stopped, better get out the way. Get out the way, get out the way. What you want, I promise. I'm not gonna front, I promise, though, let's go.